Thursday. It's time for coffee and Cursey words. We have a lot to cover today, and by a lot, I mean a lot. Fingers crossed. We're going to get through it all because I absolutely think I can talk about more than I can probably talk about. And then we get to the end and I'm like, we still have more, which is why there will probably be at least one more stream covering unsealed documents. But for today, we are going to go over a few little quick bits. Yes, I put the Bridgerton, the musical lawsuit into quick bits. We're going to talk about it. If we need a deep dive, we'll deep dive it. Don't worry. I don't know why I'm yelling. I feel like I'm yelling. And then for the unsealed documents today, my plan is to go through some of the motions regarding the devices. Those of you that have been following me since before the Depp v. Heard trial, we went in on that motion regarding the original devices. Were they turned over? Well, some of the unsealed documents have more information about WTF was going on with devices anyway. And then we have all of the motions regarding the medical examinations of Amber Heard, the requested medical examinations of Johnny Depp, and we're going to go over those too. Then on Thursday, I'm going to go over the last group of things that I think are interesting, probably the motions in limine. I'm going to go through and preview those. These are a first look, so I can narrow down that last set of documents that we want to cover together. We're not going to get through every single page of every single unsealed document, but I am going to do a summary podcast episode of our takeaways because I've been watching the takeaways from these documents across social media. And I think I need to log off of Twitter for a few days because I did make a commitment to myself that I would not fight with people on the internet. And it's very, very hard right now because what I'm seeing is a lot of either misunderstanding or just disingenuous arguments and not understanding maybe how pretrial works, but we're going to talk about how pretrial works, how these motion works. I got a new Rodecaster. I've not shared it on social yet, but it does all kinds of things. So if I start playing with my soundboard, I apologize. If the mic sounds different, we're going to get that dialed in. I haven't played with it a ton yet, but it has some
voice changing effects.
And I think they're really funny. I can't.
I'm going to amuse myself. So if nothing else happens, we're going to be amused over here, and I'm here for it. So with that, thank you for being back for Coffee and Cursey Words. Just a reminder that Coffee and Cursey Words is going to 2 times a week. So we're going to be doing Coffee and Cursey Words on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 a.m. I will absolutely give you a heads up if there's a change all across social media. And that's what we're doing through the end of 2022 due to my family schedule. So we're going to have lots of, oh, you guys are like, I'm ready for the voice changer. Yeah, we've got a few. We can do, there's one called Small Robot. Hi, I'm the small robot. I love it.
Oh, this voice is definitely going to be my reading documents voice. Because, yeah.
I also have a censor button for the first 3 minutes of the video. I can just be like, Elaine, what the I think it's funny. So I'm going to amuse myself. We're going to amuse we're going to amuse ourselves here today and talk about all of the things. So we should just get going. I love that we're here. I love that we're here together. The chat is like the greatest place to be. I see you guys chatting. It's good. Black Lucky Cat said, when the ADHD makes the best choices, sometimes I am prone to running late, but the ADHD does make the best choices, and I amused myself. Teeny Moose, I got accepted into university. Congratulations. The chat will absolutely support you. These are my monkey censor button for when you go on a Hogue. It's perfect. It's perfect. Coffee and bleeped words. I love the censor button. I'm amused. I would only censor myself for comedy purposes, only because it would make me giggle, or for impact. That's the only reason I would do it. But I'm amused with my new Rodecaster Pro 2. I'm going to be dialing in the microphone over the next few weeks. So I'm actually, because right now I feel like I'm overexcited, so I'm yelling. But I'm really excited to see what else we can play with. Am I going to add some auto-tune to this? Probably. Am I going to play with all of the little sounds? Absolutely. Are we going to have a good time? Yes. Hannah said, please tell me there's a fart noise. There's not. I'm sorry. There's not, but we can add one. We can absolutely add one. But we've got all kinds of voice changers. We have a monster and a megaphone. So I can yell at Elaine to turn on her mic. Elaine, your microphone. I feel like it's appropriate. We should roll the intro and get going. I'm just letting you know the fun that is going to be had, and we will go. Yes, and we're at 666,000. Maybe I should do the monster voice. I feel like the monster voice.
Maybe the monster voice kind of fits the vibe. Maybe. I should do this with my headphones in so I can actually hear. I'm absolutely going to use the high voice for some of the appropriate footnotes. All right, with that.
It's time to roll. Y'all, it's time to roll. Let's roll the intro. Tell me where you're coming in from, what you're drinking. I've got bulletproof coffee here this morning. Yes, there's butter in it, amongst other things. We've got all the things. Oh, I need to turn that around. We've got all of the things. It's time. Let me know where you're coming in from so we can say hello. It's so good to see you, fam. Oh, let's roll it. Let's roll it. Hey there. If we haven't met yet, I'm Emily D. Baker, the badass lawyer and everyone's favorite legal commentator. I'm the host of The Emily Show, and I break down the legal shit behind the news and pop culture stories we all want to talk about. I have been a licensed attorney for over 15 years, but this is not legal advice. I should warn you, I'm a big fan of the Cursey words. This channel is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not fuckery. It's so good to see everyone. I'll talk about bulletproof coffee another time. Same mic voice not used in trial, demon voice. I mean, the demon voice is definitely going to be fun. That monster voice is fun. Did you say butter in your coffee? I did. That's a whole conversation for another day, but it's like a morning. It's a whole thing, but it's great. I wish I had discovered bulletproof coffee when I was still doing trial work. It would have been so helpful. Roxana, hello from Kentucky. We have been thinking of our neighbors to the north here in Tennessee. The flooding in Kentucky has been just heartbreaking to watch it unfold. So hopefully you and your family are well and safe. We have been thinking about you and your community here. And I know the law nerds have too. I've seen a lot of law nerds asking how close we are to Kentucky. We're in Middle Tennessee. We're all good. But absolutely heartbreaking stuff coming out of Kentucky. Absolutely heartbreaking news with all the flooding. So we are thinking of you, Roxana, and your community. Good morning from Smyrna, Tennessee. Not far, Samantha Hanover. Congrats on 660K. 666. Now we're heading towards where do we go now? 675, I guess. We always have to have a goal of some sort. Hello. It's good to see everybody. All right, we need to get into the quick bits. Our first quick bits is going to be quicker than our second quick bits because you know how much I love the YouTubes. All of you that saw me lurking around Twitter on Sunday. Emily, don't you do a No Social Sunday? Yes. Asterix. It's going to be my new asterisk noise. Asterisk. That's the asterisk noise. Asterisk. Yes, I do a No Social Sunday. Yes, I love passionately my No Social Sunday. It just gives me set down time to know that I'm not beholden to anywhere. I'm not expected anywhere. I'm not needed anywhere. People know I'm not responding to my DMs. Y'all just know I'm not on social on Sunday. But then stuff started popping off on Twitter Spaces, and then I was on social on Sunday. And a few of you DM'd me and were like, girl, I see you. And I'm like, look, when I say that I love YouTube, I love this platform. I love following YouTube drama. I love the YouTube tea. Do we talk about it on this channel? Sometimes when it gets into court, or sometime when it looks like it could get to court, but not often. But I love watching what's going on this platform that I enjoy creating on so much. I was absolutely lurking. I wanted to see it all go down. I wanted to see it happen. I was there. Look, No embarrassment here. No embarrassment here. I wanted to know the tea. I was curious. Look, the creator economy is not just something I participate in, but it's something that I'm fascinated by. My first YouTube account, my YouTube account signed up in like 2006 or something. This platform, I love it. And I want to see all the things going on. And there's always YouTube tea. It's like watching the Housewives unfold. It's like, what are we thinking? Are we loving that Taylor Armstrong's back in OC? What do we think about Housewives switching franchises? I don't know. I think I'm here for it. We'll see. So with that, chat, I will let you TLDR on what was going on over on the Twitters. Mods, that's on topic as we're getting into this because I brought it up. But the short TLDR is that there is YouTube drama between Def Noodles and Papa Gut. Paige Christie has a fantastic video breaking it down. Others in the commentary community have been breaking it down. It's over behavior on YouTube and on Twitter. And then Def Noodles hosted like a 5-hour Twitter Spaces to address it and to hear everyone's feedback, and then ended up having a discussion with Papa Gut over the things that were said. And it was just a mess. It was a mess. Hot mess. Heated mess. So the drama is just, it's a lot. There's a lot of background. I have not paid attention to all of it. I know Truth Sleuth will be covering it. I know Adam McIntyre has covered it, but I will say Paige Christie's video gave a great background of like, this is what it is. Allegedly, Angelo, I saw you there. You had great advice. Y'all, allegedly, Angelo gives good advice. It was good advice. I don't think it was taken, but it was good advice. It was nice to hear. So it was just an interesting experience. So I don't know. It's wild to watch it all unfold. It's interesting to me. I don't like being a part of the drama ever, but I will watch it go down from the sidelines and just be like, I want to know what's happening. Because again, when I start getting DMs like, is XYZ defamation? I'm like, that's an oddly specific question. What's happening on the interwebs? And then I will go look. So I wanted to know. And there's, defamation by implication is a thing, and it's hard. There are lines on the internet, and I think we're all still trying to find those lines on the internet. And sometimes those lines are legal lines, and sometimes those lines are moral lines, and sometimes those lines are lines with our communities. I have a line for how I behave and how our community behaves. We have chat rules, and we expect those to be adhered to, and they are. There's different types of lines on the internet, and I think everyone is trying to find where those lines are for themselves, for their audience, and for the interwebs. And when your audience is like, that crosses the line for me, there's two options. It's either turn to your audience and say, can we have a conversation about it? Or say, it's not a line for me. Maybe we're not aligned anymore. And that's the interesting thing that I want to watch. I want to watch how a creator, when they're at odds with their audience, figures that all out. Because it seems there's a very much at odds with the audience. And that is interesting to me. So speaking of YouTube, our first little quick bit comes from YouTube. It's another YouTube lawsuit, and it's music related. We need to have a full music show. It's going to happen. We've still got to get back into the Taylor Swift copyright music situation. We're going to get into music when we get into our second quick bit story today, which is the Bridgerton unofficial musical lawsuit. But first, this came to my attention today, and we're going to go ahead and share it. YouTube is getting sued. Put on your Pikachu shock faces. This happens all the time. Let's go ahead and add this to the stream. All right. YouTube must face suit by Grammy winner over rights protection. Okay. You know what? I feel like I'm yelling. I'm going to put my ears in so I don't feel like I'm yelling as I adjust to a new mic, because I feel like we're just over projecting sometimes. Emily, just calm down. I feel like if I could hear myself, then maybe we'd do it a little bit better. All right, let's see. Um, I Rose Sleep says at odds with the audience is a very polite, politic way of saying it. Well, you know, we tried it. We try to. Is there an update over the Bungie lawsuit? Dr. Riley, there is a Bungie update. We need to do a Bungie update. I just have not had a chance to dive back into it, but there is. They found the dude. So I'm going to put that on list for weekly roundup for Friday. Let's see. Where is... I'm trying to see why I can't hear myself, which is also strange. Odd. Very odd that I can't hear myself. All right, whatever. I'm going to see if I can hear this, and then we're going to get into this story. Yeah, I can hear that. I just can't hear me. Weird. It's weird. All right. We'll figure it out. New tech, constantly. Eventually, we'll be done. Eventually, we'll be done. All right. YouTube must face suit by Grammy winner over rights protection. Suit by jazz musician to proceed, federal judge rules. So it sounds to me like there was litigation, probably a demur, a motion to dismiss, motion to strike, that sort of thing. Probably a motion to dismiss. And it's going to proceed, which means the motion was denied. So YouTube's content ID system at the heart of the dispute. This is what I'm interested in. The Bungie lawsuit, we've got the... Well, YouTube's not being sued, but the Bungie lawsuit took a lot of pages of time and space to rail against the copyright claiming system. Well, the content ID system is kind of also at the heart of this. I had the strangest, this is deeply behind the scenes YouTube stuff. I had the strangest copyright claim on my channel during the Depp Heard trial, where someone was claiming their own music, but the timestamp was over words that I said and the way that I said them. I was like, you've got to be joking me. But I imagine that the content ID system found something I said or something that I did and notified that rights holder and was like, yo, this sounds like your music. And that rights holder was like, yeah, it sure does. I'm like, did you even watch it? Rights holders also have to have some responsibility, but it's very interesting to see how this plays out and what the issue they're having is with the content ID system. Just for a quick TLDR on this, the content ID system is the kind of machine learning in YouTube. This is to the best of my understanding. The machine learning of YouTube that says, oh, you just played 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 20 seconds of this protected music, movie, TV show, whatever. And it generally works with that type of media. And it has also worked with my videos. I'll get information if somebody clips down a video and uploads it. I will get notification, hey, your copyright might be used over here. I don't claim those things unless it's a completely improper use. And even then I don't claim them first. I reach out and I'm like, hey, this is just a straight re-upload. What are we doing? But that's my personal choice, but it'll let you know, hey, your content's over there. So that'll happen with music, movies, TV, whatever. I once got a copy ID claim on an ad spot that I did where the advertiser asked me to use clips. They were like, please use these clips in your ad spot. I'm like, great. And then I got a copyright claim on it. I was like, could you maybe let your copyright claim company know when you're running an integration with content creators that that's going to happen? Because man, it was annoying. I was so frustrated. I'm like, really? Y'all asked me. But y'all asked me. So that's what the ID system is. It's the way that they take, a Taylor Swift song or whatever and match that music to something else. It recently happened. Do all of you watch Lo-Fi Girl? I mean, I'm imagining that you do. But for anyone who's a fan of Lo-Fi Girl, this happened on Lo-Fi's channel. But this was copyright claims after copyright ID strikes that took down some of the longest running streams on YouTube. This is also what happened in the Bungie case, but the Bungie case was false copyright claims. Copyright ID is underneath that. So the copyright ID is how they match things together. Copy claim is how you claim it. And then copy strike is when your channel gets suspended for 7 days, unless, I guess you are unlucky, unfavored, fucked with, like poor Nick Rekieta, whose 7-day ban lasted for 10 days. Because what the fuck? these systems are not perfect. So, are not perfect. So let's look at the level of not perfect. I love that this story literally came out today. We're on top of it. Alphabet's YouTube failed to persuade a California judge to toss out a lawsuit by Grammy Award-winning composer, accusing the video sharing platform of not protecting her and other quote unquote ordinary creators. Darned, that's a missed opportunity. Can you say randos? It's a missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity, but I love it. So with that, you know, this Grammy Award-winning composer is accusing the video sharing platform of not protecting her and other quote unquote ordinary creators, which again is what the platform is for. I mean, yes, you get major music labels and movie studios using it, but this is where independent artists also get discovered and also have a level playing field, but not if they're not getting the same protection. YouTube's contentions in its motion to dismiss, there it is. That's what we thought was going to happen. The suit are unavailing, the district court judge, James Donato, said in an order on Monday. So that order must have come down this morning because it's early still. 7-time Grammy winner Maria Schneider, who most recently won 2 of the prestigious awards in 2021, including in the category of Best Large Jazz Ensemble Album, claimed in her suit that YouTube's 2-tiered copyright policy system only protects powerful copyright owners. When we see a jazz music composer and a video game creation company on the exact same side of an issue, it's fascinating to me. Like, it's fascinating to me. Powerful copyright owners such as large movie studios and record labels, while leaving small producers to essentially fend for themselves. Content ID, YouTube's digital copyright management tool that ferrets out unauthorized use of copyright material, is at the heart of the case. Donato disagreed with YouTube's argument that the alleged claims are not plausible and that the phrase, "these works as millions of other works," in Schneider's complaint are merely an attempt to allege claims for unidentified works. YouTube did not have an immediate comment. Do we need to dive into this suit more? I feel like we do. And I'm very, very interested to dive into this suit. Oh, you guys are like, it's Tuesday the 2nd. Okay, so this is from yesterday. Time is a construct. My ADHD brain absolutely forgets. But YouTube is also in a tough, I'm making a note. We need to do a whole copyright stream. We just do. Emily has gone back in time. We've been needing a copyright stream for a while. We need a copyright stream, and here's why. Because part of the conversation has to be what the DCMA laws allow YouTube to do underlying some of this, because some of the laws don't allow YouTube to mediate or moderate the dispute. So there's stuff stacked on stuff that YouTube has to consider. And this isn't in defense of YouTube, but it goes deeper than just, oh, YouTube, you can see that these are clearly with the Lo-Fi Girl hit, and other channels have been hit like this with Bungie, for example, with false copyright claims that have real impact on the channel. It's something that's used aggressively and as a way to attack a channel. We see that it's been used, especially for those who are not on the pro Amber Heard side, as Amber Heard stands flag channels and false flag channels to try to get things taken down. Yes, I will always say DMCA and DCMA wrong. I always will. I tried. Just know, if I say DCMA, I mean DMCA. That's me. So thank you, AVM or VMA, something like that. But with that, I was trying to make a joke. But with that, there are underlying rules from the DMCA, and there are things that the platform has to do and cannot do. But then there's also an issue of making sure that there is a way to deal with this. So I'm very interested to see how this goes. We will absolutely do just a full copyright episode. We'll talk about face tattoos. We'll talk about body tattoos. We'll talk about copyright. We'll talk all the things. So we will absolutely do that. You guys are like, run DMCA. Per that I will remember. Chat. Y'all are so good. You guys are great. I've been saying DCMA this whole time, obviously. Digital Millennium Copyright Act. And I think what would be helpful is we do some of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, look at the problems facing the platform, and then look at how these problems play out for not just the ID system, where do you get to ID things, but also for the claiming system when it's used as a weapon against channels. And as we saw, Bungie's not, randos like us. Bungie's like a large corporation that makes video games. And they were just like, for fuck's sake, there's nothing we can do. And I think Bungie really blew the doors off of like, this is exactly what this looks like for everyone. So chat, you're so helpful. You guys are so wise. This is why I like doing lives, because not having the chat is just not ideal. We have to have the chat. All right. We want the chat. Let's go to our next story. It's going to be a quick bit. I didn't roll darn it. I didn't do the quick bits intro. It's time. Did I swoop? No. We're professionals here. WAP. We are professionals. WAP. Quick bits. All right, we're going to go to the story and then we'll go to the complaint a little bit. Let's talk about Bridgerton. Can we put up a poll, Miguelina, of who watched Bridgerton and who does not watch Bridgerton? I just need to know where my people are at, because I love Bridgerton. And I remember being live on a Friday Night Live when season 2 dropped, and so many of you were just like, I'm here and then I'm going to watch Bridgerton. I have never felt more flattered in my life that some of y'all chose to be with me when Bridgerton dropped. I just felt so loved and supported. I was like, y'all picked me. So for those of you that didn't watch Bridgerton, there might be some spoilers in here. I'm sorry. It's a book series that became a Netflix series. It's from Shondaland. When Shonda Rhimes came over to Netflix, this is one of her creations. I'm a huge Shonda Rhimes fan. I'm never going to apologize. I love. So let's get into this story about Bridgerton. It is a Netflix show. It is a lot of fun. It's got a little bit of spice to it. So if you are not for the adult TV watching, a la might have been on Cinemax after 11 p.m., well, I mean, it's not that nakedy. It's mostly implied, but it's definitely a little spicy. So if you're looking at this going, oh my God, my teen would love this, just it's sexy time. It's sexy. The books are romance. It's fun. We love it. I loved season 2, by the way. I loved season 2. All right. I thought it was really fun. I also loved, and then we'll get to this, I loved that it highlighted Vitamin String Quartet. I fucking love Vitamin String Quartet. I've listened to Vitamin String Quartet as like study music, trial prep music forever. They do beautiful like orchestra string covers of popular music. They have an album where they do Tool, which I love. They have an album where they cover The Offspring, but then they also cover popular music. It's people are like spicy like the Tudors. I don't think it's as explicit as the Tudors, but it's in there. It's gentle spicy. The first season had a lot more. There was more tension in the second season, which can also be delicious, but we don't shy away from the spicy content over here. We love it. So let's talk about Netflix, but I loved it. I loved everything about Bridgerton. I love VSQ. I love, God, you guys, y'all are so my people. I see you, chat. All right. And everyone in this show is gorgeous. That's fun too. Let's see. Netflix on Friday went after the songwriting duo behind what the streaming service says is an unauthorized, massive for-profit stage show that rips off its hit original series Bridgerton, alleging in a DC federal court that the musical blatantly infringes Netflix's copyright. There is a lot here. Here's what I will say. I love a good fan creation. I love a good fan fiction. I love what fans do with things. Rights holders don't always love what fans do with things. That's their prerogative. I don't always think it's a wise choice, but that is truly their prerogative. So with that, we will have to go through and kind of see how we feel, but Netflix has the right to put its foot down, but we also have to see they called it, as we'll pull this back up, they called it the unofficial Bridgerton musical. And then say, the unofficial Bridgerton musical live in concert, Barlow and Bear performing songs from their Grammy-winning album. So they won a Grammy with an album that's this. With the National Symphony Orchestra and special guest, Bridgerton is a trademark of Netflix used with permission. It says down here, this might be a little blurry, but that's what it says down here. This event is not endorsed or sponsored by Netflix or its partners. Lawyers were involved in all of this. This doesn't just happen. And this is not like a small, they have a Grammy award winning album and they're playing with the National Symphony Orchestra. This is not, 50 Shades of Grey before it changed the character names and then got sold as Twilight fanfic. This is a large production. I mean, it became a large production, but after it got changed. So Netflix Worldwide Entertainment said in its complaint, we have a whole Netflix show. We need to catch up on the Queen's Gambit lawsuit, and we need to catch up on the Tiger King lawsuit. So we need a copyright stream and we need a Netflix stream. Do I need to just stream every day? Maybe. I know you guys can't. You guys are triggered by the name Barlow. I get it. I get it. Same. We're talking about these ladies. Oh, fun. We're just going to call them Abby and Emily. That's great. Netflix Worldwide Entertainment said in its complaint that Grammy Award-winning songwriters Abigail Barlow and Emily Bear and their company Barlow and Bear have used Netflix's valuable IP to build an international brand for themselves. We're going to go with Abby and Emily. Emily, do you have a bestie named Abby? Yes, and I'm entertained. We're going with Abby and Emily. Over Netflix's objections, the pair staged the unofficial Bridgerton musical album live in concert for a sold-out audience at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. on July 26th. Well, this explains why the lawsuit's in D.C. Tickets cost up to $149 a piece, Netflix said. I wonder if that's before Ticketmaster fees or after Ticketmaster fees, because that could be like a $70 ticket with Ticketmaster fees, so I have questions. The live show featured over a dozen songs that copied verbatim dialogue, character traits, and expressions. The verbatim dialogue going to be a bigger problem when we're looking at copyright. Again, they're not suing for using Bridgerton, which is probably trademarked. They're suing for copyright infringement. There's a difference. Sometimes they overlap. We're talking copyright. And then when they're talking about traits and expressions and other elements, remember we were talking about trade dress. This is not trade dress. This is all under the realm of copyright. You guys are like, but there's so many facets of law. Yes, this is why everyone says it depends. And throughout the musical, Abby and Emily, quote, misrepresent to the audience that they were using Netflix Bridgerton trademark, quote, with permission, while Netflix vigorously objected. Now the songwriters plan to stage another performance in London, making it a world tour, Netflix said. So they're probably going to try to seek some kind of injunction to stop the London performance from happening, or maybe not. Maybe they'll let the London performance happen and try to grab the cash. Let's see. Is Netflix more interested in stopping the performance or money? I'm going to go with probably money. So, Eliza said, love Emily Bear. I was a fan before she wrote the Bridgerton musical. And it seems that these two have illustrious careers outside of this as well. This is not like this. They didn't just get famous doing this. They are obviously well known and well respected within their industry. Emily, are you well versed in the Broadway world? No, I didn't know that Legally Blonde, the musical, happened, and now I'm pissed I missed it. But both my kids really enjoy musical theater, so we're working on seeing it more. All right, let's see. So everybody's like, money. Have you seen Netflix's stock prices? Money, 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 money. All right. Now the songwriters plan to stage the other performance. The whole thing being on social media, specifically TikTok, goes well beyond fan fiction, Netflix said. Well, you can't sell, you generally can't sell a lot of fan fiction either. This gets into a very difficult area of maybe you'll sue me, maybe you won't, but fan fiction is hard, which is again why 50 Shades of Grey kind of changed its character names and some of its character traits. So if you didn't know that it was Twilight fan fiction, then you didn't know that it was Twilight fan fiction. Emily, do you like fanfic? Yes. Yes, I do. All right. Bridgerton, which debuted on Netflix in December 2020. Talk about a great time to release that show. I binged watched Bridgerton so freaking fast. Great. Is based on the best-selling romance novels by Julia Quinn. The series reflects the substantial creative investment of hundreds of individuals, including authors, writers, actors, directors, producers, composers, musicians, Netflix said, and the show has been a hit. By January 2021. 82 million households worldwide watched it. This would probably be a good time to end our poll and see how many Law Nerds have watched it. So go ahead, vote real quick. We're going to see how many of you watched it over here on the YouTubes. Abby and Emily asked Netflix directly about their works. Oh, that's interesting info. Abby and Emily asked Netflix directly about their works, and Netflix told them time and time again that they were not authorized per the suit. I'd be interested to see what they have to say in their response, because this clearly says the unofficial Bridgerton musical. The lawsuit has some lines about this. Look, they could have said, we're not going to stop you, but we're not agreeing. So, have you watched Bridgerton? Law Nerds, yes, 39%. No, 60%. Interesting. 60% of y'all. Y'all, I'm betting I need to do a Venn diagram with the overlap of those of you that like the popcorn flavored Jelly Bellies with who did not watch Bridgerton. I'm kind of teasing. It's good. If you have Netflix, I found it enjoyable. So I thought it was fun. I love a good period drama though. I enjoyed The Great. I enjoy a cheeky modern spin on period dramas and talking about the whole courtship circle and the amazing clothes. I thought it was fun. But I am not a TV critic. Unless something is absolutely the worst ever, I will generally be like, I was into it. I wasn't into it. I thought it was fun. So, all right. Netflix owns, let's see. Still, the duo allegedly chose to move forward with an album recording. The recording has since won a Grammy. The shit's well out of the horse, Netflix. This might not be popular, Netflix. Netflix is already losing popularity. So to go after, if this thing grew on TikTok, going after popular creators is not going to be a good look. And that's where the determination between, is this a good PR move and is this a good IP move, needs to be considered. And I don't think lawyers always consider it. I really don't think they always consider it. So let's see. Netflix said in a statement Friday that it supports fan-generated content. When does that support shift, though? Statement Friday. Supports fan-generated content. I hear a cat. Where are you? Oh, you're down there. One of the paw nerds is hiding out under the desk. It supports fan-generated content, but Emily and Abby have taken this many steps further, seeking to create multiple revenue streams for themselves without formal permission to utilize the Bridgerton IP. They made money. They made money. That's where they draw the line. Money. We've tried to work with Barlow and Bear. I imagine that was trying to get money, and they've refused to cooperate. The show's creator, Shonda Rhimes, added in the statement, there is so much joy in seeing audiences fall in love with Bridgerton and watching the creative ways they express their fandom. That's a very neutral statement, Shonda Rhimes. That is Shonda Rhimes athlete talk right there. That is I'm not going to say I disagree with Netflix, but I'm not going to say that I agree with Netflix because I have an exclusive deal with Netflix, but also creatives are creating. That is a very, Shonda, look, it's a good statement. There is so much joy in seeing audiences fall in love with Bridgerton and watching the creative ways they express their fandom. A wonderful athlete talk statement, Shonda Rhimes. You don't throw your employer under the bus. You don't throw the fans under the bus. You don't throw the creatives under the bus, and you just stay right down the line. I think that is, if you could have a pretty correct statement, there is not much else that you could have done if you're Shonda Rhimes. So she said, no comment. That's exactly what she said. Very, very diplomatically. Very diplomatically. We appreciate that. We appreciate a diplomatic statement. Because look, it's Hollywood. You kind of have to, don't you? I think if you don't play by the rules, they just yeet you. The songwriters didn't immediately, and then even sometimes, even if you do play by the rules and they think you didn't, then they yeet you for that. The songwriters didn't immediately respond for requests for comment. I'm not surprised. According to their website, their Bridgerton musical album won Best Musical Theater Album at the Grammys this year. Now I've got to listen to it. With 65 million likes between them, Abby and Emily have released their album of original songs. The response has been spectacular, with the album hitting #1 on iTunes. How did I miss that this went down on TikTok? Because that's where all of this originated. It originated on TikTok. I need to go find it. I need to go find how this all went down on TikTok and then go find the album. I want to go down the rabbit hole of this content. But we're going to take a look at the complaint real quick. And again, this all comes from Law 360, which I love. And we're then going to move on to the unsealed documents. So again, you skipped the important part. I don't know what important part we skipped. We're going back. You missed the second statement from Shonda. How did I miss the second statement from Shonda? It's possible, y'all. It happens when I read out loud. Let's see. Oh, this part. What started as a fun celebration by Barlow and Bear on social media has turned into the blatant taking of intellectual property solely for Barlow and Bear's financial benefit, Rhimes said. Well, that's an interesting addendum. All right. I did miss an important second part, y'all. That's a bit more pointed. That's a bit more protect the firm. Don't mess with the family kind of a statement. I get it. I did miss it. Y'all know I appreciate you pointing it out, because dyslexic and ADHD, and sometimes I do miss things. So that's why we do these on live stream. It is a more pointed statement. Solely for their financial benefit. I mean, I'm sure they are benefiting financially. So P said, I loved the books. The series sucked by comparison. I haven't read the books. I might have to do that. But that's with everything. Literally, that's with everything. Like Ready Player One, loved the book. The movie made me twitch. But if I'd never read the books, the movie on its own is kind of loosely inspired by, and might have been good, but it's not a good representation of the book. All right, let's take a look real quick. I want to go to where they talk about the communications between the two, because it's going to be in here. If you want a full breakdown of this complaint, we will do it. But also, Hogue did it over on his show yesterday morning during headlines and hangouts, excuse me. So, all right, let us go. Here we have a bigger photo of the advertisement. They're saying Netflix vigorously objected. Their conduct began on social media, but stretches fan fiction well past. That's what it says. Introduction: Netflix owned the registered copyrights and trademarks in the wildly popular Bridgerton series, created by Shonda Rhimes' pioneering storytelling company. Shondaland is based on Julia Quinn's best-selling romance novels of the same name. See, and there's a ton of them. This might be my next book series. So you guys are like, the books are better. Yeah, I might just have to do that. I also love Scandal, chat. Love. Let's see. Season 1 of Bridgerton is set in Grosvenor Square. We're not going to go through the resume. This is the resume part of the lawsuit. Look, everybody loves it. Bridgerton speaks to a modern audience through its inclusive cast, orchestral versions of modern pop music. Oh, they linked Vitamin String Quartet. This makes me so happy. I would go show it to you, but then we would see in real time the copyright ID system in action, because it would be like, nope, and shut down my stream. But it's linked. It's linked to the YouTube video of Vitamin String Quartet's cover of Ariana Grande's Thank You Next. I love the orchestral versions of modern pop music. However, that wasn't invented by Bridgerton because VSQ has been doing this literally for fuck ever. So. And a female perspective on characters' struggles against the rigid societal norms and rules. Bridgerton reflects a substantial creative investment of hundreds, the original author, writers, actors, directors, producers. It takes a lot to put together a TV show. It's been watched by 82 million households, renewed for a second season, released to Netflix's subscribers on March 25th, 2022, binged all of it. And 2 more seasons are in development. Oh, that's good news. Oh, I heard Hogue say this. There will be spoilers. I want to know them. Spoilers. I want to know them. So we're going to look a little bit. 2 more seasons in development. And to respond to the demand for all things Bridgerton, Netflix created a live in-person event titled The Queen's Ball, a Bridgerton Experience. The only reason I knew this existed is because Elise Myers went and shared it on the TikToks. That's the only reason I knew. I had no idea. But I enjoy her on the TikTok, and that's how I knew that happened. Which was drawn crowds in 6 cities. It's offering Bridgerton-themed merchandise through the Netflix online store and retail outlets, has Bridgerton soundtrack and streaming platform. Netflix Worldwide Entertainment is the copyright owner of Bridgerton. I wonder what that licensing looks like between the author of the book, because I imagine, well, that I would be very interested in. And as this lawsuit goes on, we might actually get to see the licensing between the author of the Bridgerton book series and Netflix, which is always very interesting because books, so much goes into publishing books, and there's, you know, your publishers, distributors, authors, all of that. So it'd be interesting to see what those licensing agreements look like, but that is far afield for today. And they're the registered trademark owner of Bridgerton. Again, I'd be interested to see how all of those negotiations went. After Bridgerton was first released in December 2020, Emily and Abby, along with countless other fans inspired by the series, started posting about the series on TikTok, including creating musical compositions based on characters, scenes, dialogues, and plot points. When asked directly, Netflix told Emily and Abby time and time again that such works were not authorized. They chose to move forward anyway. Each step of the way, Emily and Abby's representatives repeatedly assured Netflix that they understood Netflix's position and led Netflix to believe that Netflix would be consulted before they took steps beyond streaming their album online in an audio-only format. So it sounds like at least Netflix would be consulted if they took steps beyond streaming their album online in audio-only format. It seemed like there was maybe some type of at least acquiescence, tacit agreement or permission to allow them to stream their album. Emily and Abby's agent said that they had no interest in interfering with Netflix rights or in being known as the Bridgerton girls. I'm sure they don't. I agree. Netflix alleges that their representations were false. They were false. Despite their assurances to the contrary, Barlow and Bear are now claiming carte blanche authorization to profit from Netflix's protected intellectual property in whatever way they see fit. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can actually hear myself. I fixed things. All right, that's much better. The parties, Netflix Worldwide Entertainment, Abby and Emily and their companies, great. Nature of the action, they're doing this in DC. They performed it in DC. Great. Facts. Season 1 of Bridgerton streaming series follows Daphne Bridgerton, the eldest daughter of the Bridgerton family, through her debut in the competitive marriage market with her goal of finding a match sparked by true love, like her parents. Each of the 8 episodes is introduced and partially narrated by Lady Whistledown, the mysterious writer of an all-knowing scandal sheet. I know, it's basically Gossip Girl. It's basically Gossip Girl in a period drama. I mean, with a little bit more romance, if that makes sense. Let us continue. I see the question about, is this transformative derivative works? When we do a deep dive, we're going to talk about it because there was actually a Broadway parody that was brought up as one of the controlling cases in the Matt Hoss-Ethan Klein case, and I'll pull that up. I just wanted to get to where they describe the show and see if there's any spoilers, and then we're going to move on. Let's see. I love that they're just describing Bridgerton. Queen Charlotte first deems Daphne the diamond of the season. However, as the eldest Bridgerton brother, Anthony, begins to rule out potential suitors, Lady Whistledown reports that Daphne has fallen out of society favor. Daphne then decides to engage in a ruse with Simon Bassett, the Duke of Hastings. I love that they just described the entire plot of the first season. They talk about the other siblings. Bridgerton was an instant critical and popular phenomenon. The press lauded the show's design, script, and cast. And then they go into how Vulture described it as a heady cloud of pleasure and true love set in an idealized, more inclusive milieu. Audiences loved the show even more. Within 4 weeks of the premiere, it had been viewed by 82 million households. How many households watched Squid Games, though? Like, I need to juxtapose love stories and, like, murder. I'm curious. Massive international success expands the Bridgerton brand. In March 2022, they launched the Queen's Ball and Bridgerton Experience, immersive ticketed experience. And that's going to be part of the thing, immersive ticketed experience. If they continue, the alleged infringing acts continue to sell tickets to events, then there becomes more competition with the live events, and it could actually detract from Netflix selling its own live events. So they're offering the Bridgerton experience in 6 U.S. cities, including DC, around the time of the infringing Kennedy Center performance. Netflix offers general admission tickets for $45, VIP for $85, as well as an opportunity for private parties. Netflix has planned to expand these offerings in new cities. Well, Netflix, I feel like for research purposes, you should probably just invite me. I'm curious. I probably get to wear a dress. It's exciting things. Beyond the Bridgerton experience, Netflix also offers Bridgerton-related merchandise. We know defendants make unauthorized derivative work that copies from Bridgerton, and they are going to talk about how it copies word for word. And that can be copyright infringement if you copy the words for words. And that can be a problem. Let's see. Because I said we're not doing a deep dive. First, in the very first musical track, "'Tis the Season," Emily and Abby copied Bridgerton episodes 1's opening scenes, making a near identical introduction of its main characters in the 1813 Grosvenor Square setting, while also incorporating substantial dialogue verbatim, and that's going to be a problem if they're copying dialogue verbatim. The third track, "If I Were a Man," copies Eloise Bridgerton's character and theme of societal constraints on women, and again lifts dialogue verbatim. The track's title, "If I Were a Man," is taken from Eloise's dialogue in episode 2, scene 12. Likewise, in the same scene, Eloise states, "Why must our only options be to squawk and settle or to never leave the nest? What if I want to fly?" Barlow and Bear's track includes nearly identical language. "I don't want to settle and squawk or never leave the nest. For a delicate walk, well, what if I want to fly?" It also sounds like, a Taylor Swift song called "The Man," but And then they go on about the other musical tracks. If there is direct line for lines, it's going to be an issue for Barlow and Bear unless they had some permission. And where the bounds of that permission lies is interesting. In August, after learning that Barlow and Bear were due to release an album to Spotify the following month, Netflix sought to advise them of a clear line. Netflix representatives stressed to Emily and Abby's representatives that Netflix would not authorize and did not want them to engage in any live performances or other derivative works that might compete with Netflix's own planned live events. At the time, their representatives stated no such events were in the works. Based on the unofficial Bridgerton musical, their representatives made clear that they wanted to focus on their work and avoid becoming known as the Bridgerton Girls. I can understand that. In November 2021, their representative informed Netflix that their canceled UK charity performance had been rescheduled for later in the month. Proceeds would be donated to a local foundation, and that they plan to do this live concert focused on a broader repertoire, not the unofficial Bridgerton musical. And they would include only a few songs. Netflix again reiterated that live performances of the album were not authorized and that the UK event should be a one-time occurrence. So it sounds like they were acquiescing a bit. Their representative confirmed that they fully understood. It's like 10-4. In March 2022, following the Grammy nomination, Netflix reached out again to reiterate the lines that are now becoming blurred. Their representative assured Netflix that they did not have any Bridgerton-related plans other than the Grammy nomination and follow-up interviews if they were to win, which it sounds like they did. In addition to their assurances, Netflix, their representatives and their conduct confirms that they knew they needed Netflix's permission for live performances of the unofficial Bridgerton musical, and Netflix never gave that permission. Their representatives kept coming back to Netflix with updates on the UK charity event and went out of their way to make clear that they did not have other performances planned. Then they did the Kennedy Center performance. They said it was with permission. This is going to be really interesting because they were in communication with Netflix. So whatever Netflix said to them is going to be key here. And I know that it's in here somewhere. Let's see. Let's see. Was it Stand in Your Way? No. Not. Let's see if we can find it. Where did they talk about permission? Without permission. Never gave Barlow or Bear permission to create. They knew they needed Netflix permission. Rather than engaging with Netflix, Barlow and Bear's representatives stated that they were not asking for Netflix's permission and would not further delay the announcement of their performance to afford parties time to discuss. They publicly announced the show within days. Let's see. Despite their assurances on June 7th, 2022, Barlow and Bear's representative informed Netflix for the first time they would be performing the unofficial Bridgerton musical at Kennedy Center on July 26th. They sought to understand from the representative what type of performance was planned, how it would be marketed, and whether it would be for charity. Rather than engage with Netflix, their representative stated they were not asking for permission. I wonder why they weren't asking for permission. So that is going to be very interesting. I know that at some point there were communications with Netflix where Netflix said we're not going to stand in the way of the album. Oh, here. In March 2021, their counsel asked expressly for Netflix's blessing of a recorded album and a single specific UK charity promotion. So that conversation will be interesting, and I want to see it from the answer as well, which they would engage West End performers who had been furloughed because of the pandemic. Netflix responded in June that it was, quote, not approving or authorizing the album's release or any charity performances, but in the spirit of supporting what Barlow and Bear represented as two Bridgerton fans' expression of their appreciation for the series. It stated that it was not standing in the way. So that full conversation will be very interesting. So Netflix said, we're not authorizing it, but we're not going to sue you at this point. It doesn't mean they can't change their mind and turn around unless they've granted like a tacit permission where they're like, look, we have permission. They said they're not standing in the way. But if this is limited to the album release and not live performances, this could be a problem for Barlow and Bear. So what do I think of the Bridgerton copyright suit? And we can do a deeper dive. I kind of want to wait until they respond and then take these together with the answer, because I want to see, again, Netflix is writing this in the light most favorable to Netflix. I want to see how Barlow and Bear's attorneys respond with, but Netflix told us all of these things, and this is why we did it. It sounds like from the beginning, they have lawyers involved, they have representatives involved. They are professionals that have created a Grammy-winning album. It's not like they're like, I didn't know I couldn't release that on the internet. There were lawyers in discussion. I want to see their lawyers. I want to see their lawyers respond to this and give us the rest of that conversation. Because with the rest of that conversation, I think we'll learn more about whether they believed they had some kind of implied agreement to do this as an unofficial version. And we've seen in other lawsuits, like the Haas H3 lawsuit, that the court cited a parody Broadway show. And I want to go back and reread that. So I think we'll do a deeper dive into this when we get the answer. But on the On the face of it, the direct lines of dialogue can be an issue. But on the face of it, Netflix saying we're not standing in your way can be an issue. So we now have two sides that actually there's a lot of gray zone in this. I think they'll end up resolving this for money. I think this lawsuit is now you have to take us seriously. You haven't engaged with us in discussion. We even got Shonda Rhimes saying you're doing it for your own profit. So now you have to engage with us. In a PR way, this might backfire. In a licensing way, do I think they'll probably work out some type of licensing agreement so they can all make money together? Probably. I think that's probably what will happen at the end of the day. I think that's probably what will happen at the end of the day. We should get into our main topics though, because Emily, it's supposed to be quick bits. Yeah, it is supposed to be quick bits. Okay, so you guys need to tell me in the chat. We have two kind of groups of topics I want to talk about. I'm going to start with let's put up a poll. I forget I can do that. To the Facebook audience, I'm sorry, I see you. I know that you're there. There's almost 400 of you watching on Facebook, but unfortunately, I can't put up a poll in both places. So on YouTube, you get a poll. There's over 21,000 of you here on YouTube. We're putting up a poll. Do you want to talk about the doctors first, or do you want to talk about the devices first? The devices being the motions to turn over the source devices, the doctors being medical examinations and mental health examinations of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. And a reminder, when we talk about those, we're not diagnosing anyone, we're not name calling, we're not besmirching or disparaging. So we're going to put up a poll. What do you want to hear about first, devices or doctors? And while we do that, I'm going to pull up the emergency protective order. But first, I'm going to swoop and remind you of some housekeeping matters now that we are like an hour in. So housekeeping matters. I didn't hear that in my headphones either. Weird. All right. I'm going to have to look, we're still playing with new stuff. I'm
going to have to figure it out. I can't hear this either.
Y'all can hear it, but I can't hear it. Let's see.
Can I hear me now? No.
All right. We have more playing to do. We have more playing to do with my audio setup, but don't worry. Here's the thing. First of all, it's the beginning of the month. Yay, August. I can't believe my kids are getting ready to go back to school. It's crazy. But because it's the beginning of the month, we have a members only live stream coming up next week. We are going to be changing the dates of our members only live stream because we have been changing the schedule. Instead of Friday Night Live, I will be doing Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11. When I can, I will be adding in evening streams, but those are not going to be scheduled regularly. I'm going to let you know on the community channel or the community tab. I'm going to let you know on Twitter, on Instagram. I'm going to let you know on Patreon and on the text crew. I will let you know everywhere when we plan an evening stream, because I know some of you with work cannot make the daytime streams. I absolutely get it, but it's for life what we need to do. I am also going to be premiering the podcast episodes every Wednesday as best I can. That's my goal, to get in the chat with you guys and premiere them. So next week we have a members only live stream. So if you are a member either here on YouTube or over at Law Nerds Unite, you will get that. The Law Nerds Unite are going to get an update of exclusive merch that's coming out over there, because that's coming this month, of updates on the members merch for this month, and then on updates for the members only Zoom call for this quarter. You have not missed it. So those are all the things going on. So Tuesday and Thursday at 11 a.m. for live streams through the end of the year. There will be occasional bonus live streams. You guys can go to Law Nerds Unite if you're not in the text crew, if you're international, just to get notifications. You don't have to join to get those notifications. You can just hit follow. The poll went AWOL. We'll figure it out. Don't worry. We'll figure it out. So we will make sure that you get notified when I add in streams. I know that YouTube doesn't always notify on time, which is why I do that on Twitter and here and elsewhere. Hopefully that helps. Okay, let us go to these first motions. So those are all the things that are coming up. Members, you will get notified in all your member spaces. I have to sit down with my calendar, and then I'm going to give you all the tea when we're doing our members only live streams, et cetera, et cetera. Those are going to be bumping to Wednesday. They're still going to alternate between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. so that we have time to do that. Thank you guys for understanding the change of schedule. I really, really appreciate it. So let's see. I'm going to say hello to a few of our, excuse me, a few of our super chats. Hello. Hello. Everyone is doing well. Hello, Kyle. Good to see you. Spot Trust question. I was curious if you've ever done a breakdown of the Anna Delvey, Anna Sorokin case. I have not yet, but I've wanted to. It's just the timing has been really, really tough. So I think you meant to hit the bleep on Elaine. I did. Did I miss it? Did I do this instead? I was like, Elaine. Did I do that instead? Instead of being like, what the Elaine? Did my I can't hear it. I don't know why I can't hear my VFX. I can hear some of them, but not all of them. That's odd. We're gonna have to figure it out. Another day. This will be a members only. Jeremy said, got my membership to Manscaped thanks to your advertising skills so far. It's amazing. Wanted to say thank you, Emily. You are a superstar. Love the mic. Thank you, Jeremy. I take ads and I take sponsors that are stuff that I use. Just because I cannot tell you, hey, try this thing if I haven't tried this thing. So I will get stuff that comes across and I say no a lot more than I say yes, because it's just not a right fit for me, because my community, y'all are more important than anything else. So I try to share things that A, I think you will like, B, things that I like, and things that might fit into your life the way they fit into my life. Because at the end of the day, things on this channel get demonetized. We're still going to talk about it. And we are community and sponsor supported, which allows us to be completely independent. And at the end of the day, my editorial board is y'all. And that is, I think, the way it should be. We decide what we cover. We decide how we cover it. And that absolutely gives me the freedom to create content that we are interested in. Hey, from Texas, just worked on a subpoena deuces tugum and ready for my EDB. Enjoy your SDT. Oh my God, the voice changer has made my lack of sleep worth it.
I'm so glad. Should we just do some of the comments like this? We hit 666.
Yes, we did.
We are at 666.
I don't know why I can't hear the voice changer on my end. I'm going to have to figure that out. I just choked on my coffee with your megaphone scolding Elaine. So funny. Good morning. Good morning. All right. Let's get into our main topics. We're going to swoop again. We're starting with, and we will timestamp these by title, but we're starting with the defendant and counterclaim plaintiff, Amber Heard's emergency motion for protective order to protect all individuals attending the deposition of Amber Heard. So let's get into that. All right. This is Amber Heard's motion, and this is not big enough. She needs to be bigger. Oh, it's 94 pages long. Of course it is. This is, again, these are first looks. I'm going to preview stuff for Thursday so we can speed run, but these are first looks. Let's see. Comes now. Amber Heard moves for a protective order to ensure sufficient protection for all individuals attending the deposition. Alternatively, Ms. Heard moves the court to permit the deposition to be taken by Zoom. Set forth below, this was filed January 6, 2022. So there was a deposition that happened at the end, which is very, very interesting. Because that's something that I didn't know about in advance of this. There was another deposition just taken at the end. Ms. Heard must unfortunately bring this exposition, because Mr. Depp, one, refuses to honor his earlier agreement in writing to ensure the same safety and health protocols will be in place that Ms. Heard implemented for the deposition of Mr. Depp. I'm sure they'll tell us what those are. Ms. Heard demands Ms. Heard violate something law by not wearing a mask while being deposed. Interesting. And refuses to require all persons present to wear a K95 or KN95 mask consistent with CDC guidelines to protect against the Omicron variant. So again, this was filed January 6, 2022. Just for timing, I can understand why they don't want her to wear a mask or being deposed. I get it. Because they want to see her face. They want to determine, they want to evaluate the veracity of what she's saying by seeing her, but then requiring everyone else to mask might be the right thing to do. We'll see. On November 29th, 2021, Heard began communication with Depp regarding the safety and health protections and protocols for the deposition and followed up on December 3rd regarding those procedures. Depp responded on December 3rd that he appreciated the precautions taken by Ms. Heard for Mr. Depp's deposition and agreed to arrange for the same type of protective shielding to make sure that both the court reporter and videographer are at least double vaccinated. And if it's videotaped, you definitely don't want the person sitting for the deposition to be masked. I get that. On December 4th, Heard then provided a detailed description of the protections provided for Mr. Depp's deposition. Depp responded by, quote, agreeing to the same safeguards as Heard did as you listed below, which I had frankly forgotten. Ms. Heard agreed to the deposition. So we're going to get emails at the end of this, which is nice. Ms. Heard agreed to the deposition in person based on these precautions being met. Mr. Depp did not follow up any further regarding these agreements. On December 29, 2021, Heard requested her deposition be taken by Zoom due to the newfound and alarming spread of the Omicron variant. Depp immediately refused. Given Depp's refusal to permit the deposition be taken by Zoom, Heard then followed up by seeking the status of the progress with complying with the previously agreed upon safety precautions, including providing a contact to local police department. I want to know why they need to contact local police. Like why? I will try to make this a little bigger. It is blurry based on the way that it is typed. And this is true for all of Heard's documents. They are a bit blurred. So getting it bigger doesn't help too much. Hopefully that helps, chat. So let's see. So they needed contact at the local police department. I mean, they could set that up themselves. I'm wondering what concern there is about needing a contact at the local police department. I wonder where they were taking this deposition. Facilitating private and safe building ingress and egress, providing safety measures inside the building to ensure the public could not access the deposition area. That's fair. Ensuring cleaning measures for the building, restroom, and deposition areas, lunch arrangements. Well, the party taking the deposition is responsible for it. Arrangements with the court reporter for plexiglass barriers and assurances that all persons physically present are fully vaccinated and received a booster. Heard then requested, in light of Omicron, the deposition attendees wear either K95 or KN95 masks. Mr. Depp declined to substantively respond, instead expressed hostility. Oh, okay. Instead expressed hostility and threatened to file a calendar control notice for an emergency motion. Depp further again claimed he had confirmed in writing that we will take all appropriate measures to ensure the safety of Ms. Heard. So it sounds like they are not seeing eye to eye on all of this. Okay. But refused to specify what those measures would be or confirm that he would abide by his earlier agreement. On December 31st, Depp agreed to the safety protocols, quote, agreed to the safety protocols you requested specifically in relation to the Omicron variant, would be happy to sign a consent order to that effect, attachment 3. So we're going to get these emails. Ms. Heard prepared and sent a consent order reflecting the safety and health protocols agreed to, along with the additional safety protocol sought by Heard and her counsel, that all individuals physically present at the deposition wear K95 masks based on the latest CDC guidance, and that only those masks are sufficient to protect against Omicron. Just wait. We're reading a legal motion. We are not trying to talk about the vid, and this video is going to get one of those notifications. Darn it. The responsible and straightforward request for all physically present to wear the masks led to the increased hostility from Depp on December 31st, 2021. Maybe it's due to it being New Year's Eve. Maybe. Just maybe. Along with backtracking from protocols and procedures Depp had repeatedly agreed to in writing the weeks before. I'm interested if we're going to see Depp's side of this, but I guess we'll see the emails. Mr. Depp's counsel refused to wear masks themselves for the deposition and refused to agree to ensure the court reporter and videographer had received COVID-19 shots. Even though they previously agreed to it, that's odd. Footnote 1. Included in Ms. Heard's earlier consent order was the requirement to ensure court reporter and videographer were also vaccinated and boosted and would wear K95 or KN95 masks. However, counsel for Ms. Heard proactively reached out to Planet depots because Mr. Depp had not and secured Planet Depot's confirmation that all these requirements. So this was removed from the consent order. Okay. Great. Ms. Heard then followed up on January 3rd through 4th regarding the status of Depp's review of the consent order. On January 4th, Depp sent his red lines to Heard, the edits, some of which directly contradicted earlier agreements in writing, including, most alarmingly, inserting the condition that Ms. Heard shall not wear a mask while being deposed. Again, I understand. Mr. Depp eliminated the earlier obligation to facilitate private access to and from the building where the deposition is occurring, and to provide safety and security measures inside the building to ensure the public could not access the deposition. Depp refused to provide Heard's counsel with the name and contact information of the point person at the local police department. Interesting. Depp only agreed to contact building management to request appropriate cleaning, but refused to take responsibility to ensure the cleaning would take place as earlier agreed. I guess it depends on who owns the building. Depp's counsel refused to agree to wear masks and only agreed to wear surgical or filtered masks. Refused to wear N95 masks and only agreed to wear surgical or filtered masks despite the latest CDC guidelines being those types of masks are worthless against Omicron, and the Eastern District of Virginia now requiring these specific masks to enter the courthouse. Attachment 4. Let's see, footnote 2, which comes from here. Agreement to facilitate private access. This was combined with including the full address of the location of the deposition, which was not earlier public record. The notice of deposition was not filed with the court. Fair. Thus, while broadcasting the location for the Depp fans and Amber haters and the press, Mr. Depp removed Ms. Heard and her counsel's safe passage in and out of the building, a condition to which Mr. Depp had earlier agreed on in writing. So at some point, the location of the deposition was made public, it sounds like, or at least that's what Heard's team is asserting. I can understand their concern with that. I mean, you don't want anything to disrupt the deposition. But also, this is a lot of requests, probably because they wanted it to be on Zoom. It's a lot of requests. I understand you need to have food, you need to have this, you need to have that. So, let's see. Footnote 3. Mr. Depp also inserted that Ms. Heard would be deposed for no less than 7 hours of testimony each day. Ms. Heard had agreed to 21 hours total, the same as Mr. Depp, who testified less than 7 hours any day of his deposition. But if she testified longer the first day, for example, as written, she would automatically exceed the 21 hours because she would still have to testify at least 7 hours each additional day. This also contradicts the earlier agreement. These attorneys are not getting along at all. But hadn't they had issues with Ms. Heard not completing her depo? Or her sister not completing her depo? We've seen enough shenanigans from Miss Heard's team that I take a lot of this with a grain of salt. Like, okay, you're saying that they said this, but what is it really? Like, what's the other side of it? Just everything with a grain of salt at this point. All right. Stuff is still redacted. Even though these are unsealed, information is still redacted. Mr. Depp's demand that Ms. Heard not wear a mask is also on the heels of the emergence of, and then there was more redacted information, security precautions for private building access, security at the location of the deposition and police contact are critically important to Ms. Heard and her counsel's safety, as she and her counsel have received death threats, and Mr. Depp's fans who are adverse to Ms. Heard are aware of the details of Ms. Heard's deposition. For example, the Twitter account, and then that's redacted out. Though, I see the chat making note of who that is, so we'll see if that's in attachment 9, because we'll get there. Ms. Heard therefore respectfully requests the court enter the attached protective order. We'll see what it is down below. Alternatively, Ms. Heard asked the court to simply order the deposition be taken by Zoom. I can understand why they don't want a Zoom deposition of Heard, especially if they have concerns that she will have people off screen saying things. At least in a depo room, you can see what counsel's saying. You can see when things are being when things are being said to her. You know who's in the room. There's no one off screen that you're not aware is there. I can understand why they didn't want this taken by Zoom. I can absolutely understand that. And this is, again, not long before this is just what, 2 months before 3 months before they're supposed to start trial, 4 months before they're supposed to start trial. So I understand saying, no, this needs to be in person. We need to see her face. And saying, we will mask. We just won't wear those types of masks. Okay. Let's see. Footnotes 5 and 6. The United States District Court, and then they listed something due to the spread of Omicron, along with reiterating the court's mask mandate. Ms. Heard took Depp's deposition continuation the last 3.5 hours of the 21 hours on December 14th by Zoom. All other depositions in this case have been taken by Zoom. Ms. Heard opposes any continuance of the deposition. This is the third time her deposition has been scheduled. These dates were negotiated with the assistance of the conciliator. Oh, don't worry, True. We're gonna get to the deposition. So they couldn't even get to dates without having a third-party mediator pick the dates. Okay. There are only 2 months remaining for discovery, and more than 30 depositions remain to be taken. Holy shit. That's some new information. Damn. In January, they still had 30 depots left to take. These attorneys did not sleep at all. And there's no evidence that Omicron will dissipate or more other deadly strains will not emerge. In fact, redacted attachment 8, the deposition needs to go forward and be completed now. I agree with that part. All right, let's see all the attachments. I'm gonna make this a little smaller so the scrolling is not quite so crazy. This is the protective order they wanted the court to sign. They wanted the court to sign all the things that they're asking for, essentially, or allowing it by Zoom. Persons physically present at the deposition, including Ms. Heard, counsel, support staff, on behalf of Heard and Depp, court reporter, videographer, shall attest to being fully vaccinated, having received a booster shot. Anyone not attesting to being fully vaccinated, not receiving a booster shot, may not be present within the room, may not come within 20 feet of Heard or her counsel and support staff. All authorized individuals physically present in the room where it happens, in the deposition room, or in any of the areas where Ms. Heard and her counsel support staff may be located, shall wear an N95 mask the entire time they are in the contact areas where authorized individuals are present. Ordered that it shall be the responsibility of Depp and Depp's counsel to ensure the following: securing a room and table for the deposition sufficient to ensure 6 feet of separation between Heard and her counsel and support staff from any of Depp's counsel and support staff. We need a large conference table. And from the court reporter and videographer at all times, notifying local police department of the deposition, including location, date, and time, and the potential members of the public, including press and fans of either Depp or Heard, to appear, and the history of death threats to Ms. Heard during the UK trial. So appropriate arrangements can be made for either side to contact the police department in the event of encountering any situation warranting police involvement, or remove non-authorized members of the public from interfering. Though I will say, Heard's counsel can also set this up with local police. I understand they want Depp's team to be responsible, but this is something Heard's team can do. Making arrangement with management of the building where the deposition is taking place to deep clean and sanitize all of the contact areas. Making arrangements with management to clean and sanitize each restroom. Arrangements with the building where the deposition is for sufficient security procedures. Arrangements with management of the building where the deposition is, that Heard and her counsel can enter and exit through a private garage each day of the deposition. Necessary arrangements for a separate room for breaks and lunch, and for the delivery of lunch for Heard and her counsel each day. No unnecessary further risk of contact. Necessary arrangements with the court reporter videographer to provide plexiglass dividers. And and then ordered that, confirming that they'll take the steps above, providing contact number to the officer, that kind of stuff. So I don't know if the court signed this or not, but we'll see. I'll go back and look through and see if we can find it. This was from January 2022. This was filed under seal, so if there was any signed order, it was probably also under seal. Let's go look at the emails between the two. This is from Elaine.
Ben, thank you for your response. Apparently you did not heed Steve's repeated admonitions to refrain from personal attacks. Let's cut to the chase. Do you disagree with any safeguards, including in the consent order, designed to allow for a safe in-person deposition of Amber Heard to go forward on January 12th through 14th? If yes, which ones and why? Let's see if we can pound out this consent order and ring in the new year.
Pound it out, Elaine. Pound it out. Pound it out. Thank you for your consideration, Elaine. Elaine. Let's see. That's from... Look, if you think lawyers don't work all the time, this is lawyers working all the time. This is at 4:27 on Friday, December 31st. This is what it looks like going through to trial. I will read them from the bottom up. I know we're going probably backwards in order. I will keep letting the time know. Let's see. We can see if we can go. This is at 3:06. All right, let's go to this is at December 31st at 8 a.m. The chat is wise. We're not gonna disagree with the chat. December 30th. Let's see. December 30th. Let's see if we can get to the bottom. Let's see if we can get to the bottom of this. December 30th. December 30th. Oh, Jesus. Gosh, I love lawyer emails. Emily, did you ever want to practice civil law? No. Why? The emails. Because God in heaven. Oh my God, and they're attached. Everything's attached. This is December 3rd. December 3rd. Okay, these have gotten way too small. We're not reading these spits of emails that are attached. Let's see if we can get to the very, very bottom. Oh my goodness. These chain attached emails are just absolutely brutal. January 4th. Okay, so we'll go back up to the top and then we'll come down to January 4th. Brutal. They just keep replying to all. We'll go to the first one we can actually read that's not in a box. I think this is the best one. Let's see. Friday, December 3rd, 6:02 p.m. Dear Elaine, we recall and greatly appreciate the precautions you took prior to and during Mr. Depp's deposition. We will arrange for the same type of protective shielding you had, etc. And we'll let you know the particulars as soon as we have them, though, as you know, Ms. Heard's deposition is still several weeks away, so it likely won't be coming Tuesday. Likely won't be by this coming Tuesday. In that regard, would you please resend me the referenced messages you sent prior to the Depp deposition so we can make sure we cover everything? Moreover, Camille and I are both double vaccinated. I had my booster too, as I assume you and Ms. Heard are, which will make the deposition far safer than even Mr. Depp's was, despite the variant. We will both make sure that both the court reporter and videographer are at least double vaccinated. Best regards, Ben. Sent from my iPhone. This is from... Oh, this is the reiteration of what the precautions were. So this is from December 4th at 9:29 a.m. Ben, thank you for your response. To refresh your recollection, I actually called and spoke with you per my last email. I actually called and spoke with you about the measures that were being taken. They include the following, and then listed out everything that is what we saw above, I'm guessing. So to refresh your recollection, Ben. All right. This is from December 4th at 2:23 p.m. from Ben Chu to Elaine. Good afternoon, Elaine. You are most welcome. Thanks for the follow-up. Mr. Depp agrees to provide the same safeguards Ms. Heard did, as you listed below, some of which I had frankly forgotten. Best, Ben. Which happens, by the way. No shade there. People forget shit. Not mad. Not mad. Question, shouldn't I have a fun voice for Ben?
I mean, this would be my fun Ben Chu voice, but I'm frustrated that I can't hear my voice changer. So I need to figure that out.
But I should. But I should. Let's see. December 29th, 4:18 from Elaine. Ben, I am following up on our earlier email exchange below. In light of so many developments since December 4th, I suspect you have been giving the upcoming deposition of Amber a great deal of thought, as have we. I'm sure you are mindful of the Omicron variant has spread like wildfire, and infections, hospitalizations, testing facilities are hitting all-time high. California has reported skyrocketed infections, hospitalizations. This is just, YouTube's going to love all of this, as well as overcrowded testing sites, shortages on testing materials. On top of this, the airline industry has been forced to cancel a significant number of flights as a result of staff exposures. And this trend is continuing. As you are also aware, Amber has a 9-month-old daughter, and she is currently living with her sister, who has a 2-year-old toddler and is pregnant. This heightens the risk of danger. Fair. We believe these factors all suggest that a depo of Amber by Zoom makes the most sense at this stage. As you may recall, we offered and you accepted to take the continuation of Depp's deposition by Zoom with Mr. Depp and 4 of your legal team in London. While Omicron was on the horizon and spreading at that time, it had not yet taken off at the pace to which it has now accelerated, rendering this option even more reasonable. In addition, by choosing the Zoom option, it would obviate the need for you to take the extraordinary precautions of reaching out to the police, taking steps to ensure Amber's safe passage in and out of the building each day. By the way, reaching out to the police is not hard. It's not hard. I forgot to make this big. Sorry, y'all. Let's see. The extensive repetitive cleaning required, masks, plastic dividers, distancing precautions. Frankly, even if you are able to take all these precautions, given the highly contagious spread of the Omicron variant, it's virtually in virtually inexplicable situations, there is no way you can be confident it will not spread to everyone in the room. Please let me know your thoughts on this. Absent contracting the vid, January 12th, 13th, and 14th remain the best dates, absent of anyone getting sick, which is something the courts are still struggling with. Amber remains willing and able to proceed via Zoom. Thanks for your consideration. Let me know. Elaine. All right. Let's see. Oh, boy. This is from December 29th at 7:46 p.m. Let's normalize lawyers having boundaries. But, not. Dear Elaine. But they're also probably, well, no, he's DC, so they're probably in the same time zone. Mr. Depp hereby rejects Miss Heard's latest proposed dodge. Oh, God.
She and/or her counsel are again acting in bad faith. Per our long-standing agreement and deposition notice, we will proceed with Miss Heard's deposition in person at our Orange County offices on January 12th, 13th, and 14th.
So the location is their offices. Rather than addressing your overwrought pretexts, I will point out the obvious. Oh, shit. Here's the snark. Miss Heard countersued Mr. Depp in Fairfax County for $100 million. She doesn't get to phone it in. Well, or zoom it in. Mr. Depp complied with the court's order to appear in person at your offices in Ruston for 3 days of deposition that required him to travel to London before safe and effective vaccines still existed, or before safe and effective vaccines existed. You took the necessary safety measures and everything was fine. We agreed to take the same safety measures and assured you that the 2 attorneys who will be taking the depo, myself and Camille Vasquez, have not only been double vaxxed, but also I have taken the booster. In this context, that Ms. Heard would use the vid as a pretext to avoid accountability would be another low, except when the sources are considered. Fucking hell. He is, in fact, a snarky guy. Zoom is not the cure-all, but I also understand, look, it might not be popular. I like the snark. Obviously, Ben Chu thinks they're just trying to avoid. But I also understand hey, I live with my sister. I have a small child. She has a small child and she is pregnant. I do understand the concern. Ben's like, shut the fuck up and take the depo. But also, I can understand can you please make these assurances? I understand. Maybe some of the assurances are overwrought. Ben Chu thinks they are, but I also understand. Look, getting the vid while pregnant isn't good. So I get it. But Ben is not having this shit at all. At all. Let's see. In this context, that Miss Heard would use the vid as a pretext to avoid accountability would be another low, except when the sources are considered. I'm gonna need to sock that away for future snark. This would be completely unacceptable and low, except when you consider the source. And then, what do you expect? And you guys are asking about testing. This motion is from January 2022. So this is from January 2022. If Miss Heard did not agree, so that we're not talking 2020, we're not talking early 2021. This is the beginning of 2022. If Miss Heard does not agree to reconsider her untenable position ASAP, I will appear at calendar control on Mr. Depp's emergency motion to compel on Tuesday, January 4th or Wednesday, January 5th at 8:30 a.m. By no later than 5 p.m. tomorrow, December 30th, please either, I hate these emails, confirm in writing that Ms. Heard will comply with her obligations to appear in person at our Orange County offices on January 12th, 13th, and 14th for her depot, or advise which date, Tuesday, January 4th or Wednesday, January 5th, is more convenient for you to appear at calendar control for the hearing of Mr. Depp's emergency motion to compel. Elaine, bring your client for depot or we're going to the court. And going to the court sounds something like, Mom, make them get deposed. I'm going to make sure we're not voice changing. All right. Because now I can't stop playing with it. So that escalated quickly. Henhouse Bathco said literally just got an ad for N95 masks on Twitter after EDB reading about the masks. Yep. That's how the algorithm works. It just listens. Sorry for everyone that's going to get mask advertisements. All right. This looks like Elaine's response. Goody, goody gumdrops. Elaine Bredehoff, Tuesday, December 30th. Ben, I'm very surprised at the tone of your email and your non-responsiveness to the issue I raised. Elaine, maybe you should consider the source. Ben is just a snarky guy. Ben is just a snarky guy. I understand. Oh. We are talking about significant safety and health issues warranting consideration. I am breaking down these issues, including your response, so together we can fully address each issue. Get it together, Ben. Amber Heard has a counterclaim in which the what? I'm not reading that. At which the amount seeking is $100 million and Depp's is $50 million. Therefore, she should have to give a deposition in person, regardless of whether this places Amber, her unvaccinated baby, her family, including an unvaccinated toddler, and a pregnant sister at risk of contracting the highly contagious O variant. I'm going to have to stop saying the words or YouTube's going to lose its mind, and as will Facebook, which has led to many, many hospitalizations of unvaccinated children and deaths. In other words, if anyone brings a complaint or counterclaim in Fairfax Circuit Court, they should be subject to risk of illness and death to themselves and their family, including children? Or is it the amount of the award that they're seeking? What is the threshold amount that Chief Justice Agskarati should hold subject certain litigants to greater risk of illness and death to themselves and their children? What's the cost? What's the cost of death, Ben? The concept of a deposition by Zoom being a quote unquote phone in. As you know, we have been taking all the depositions except the first part of Mr. Depp's by Zoom. Ms. Heard would be on screen, just like Mr. Depp was for the continuation of his deposition a few weeks ago. We would be able to present exhibits, just like Mr. Depp's deposition and all other witnesses in this case. And the Planet Depot's technician, videographer, and court reporter would all be maintaining the integrity of the process. You have never complained about any of the dozens of depositions already taken by Zoom in this case. Well, the thing is, those depositions are not her deposition. So this has escalated badly again. And I have never suggested any disadvantage. When I offered you the option of completing Mr. Depp's deposition by Zoom, you quickly accepted it and presented Mr. Depp along with you and 3 of your other counsel in a London conference room by Zoom. There were no issues with the logistics of this deposition except a couple of freeze moments, which passed quickly. What exactly is the issue or concern about taking Heard's deposition by Zoom? I would love them to spell it out. I think I could guess. What is the difference between taking Amber's deposition and every other witness, including Mr. Depp, in the case by Zoom? Perhaps we could address what your true concern is and work out a solution. A fair retort. What's your real concern? Their real concern is that Amber's going to lie about something, I think, but that's my speculation. Mr. Depp was required by court order to be present the first part of his deposition in person in our offices. He left abruptly the third day, leading to the recent continuation. First, you never requested of the court that Mr. Depp's deposition be taken by Zoom. That is a very important point. You may recall that when the general counsel for Warner Brothers suggested I take Mr. Depp's depo before he left for Europe, I immediately emailed you and asked how long Mr. Depp would be in the US and where so we could schedule his depo. You never responded. I asked for his location because I would have been amenable to a deposition by Zoom had you cooperated with me. This is your fault, Benchu. Fuck you. Instead, Mr. Depp simply did not show up for a properly noticed deposition, and you did not file a protective order. Then we moved to compel. Hi, T. I'm live. What's going on? Okay. Can it wait till I'm done streaming? Okay, you can text me. Will you close my curtain? Thank you. Thanks, darling. Sorry, kiddo interruption. Let's see. So they noticed Depp's deposition and he didn't show. Then we moved to compel. You claim Mr. Depp was filming in Europe for the next 5 months and could not be deposed. Well, that would be annoying. Though we had news articles showing Mr. Depp traipsing around Europe to film festivals, not filming, and not practicing quarantine protocols or safe distancing. He was traipsing. He was traipsing around Europe. I can understand. It's like, why can't you be deposed? I'm filming. You're not filming. You're traipsing. You are shenaniganing. I love the use of the word traipsing here. I know Elaine normally annoys me, but I'm kind of living for the for the response. These attorneys, look, if you ever wondered what it was like to be a civil litigator, here you go. These types of emails are what it's like. This nonsense back and forth. Mr. Depp was traipsing around Europe to film festivals, not filming and not practicing quarantine protocols or safe distancing. Chief Judge White ordered Depp to be deposed in November 2020. Again, you did not request that depo by Zoom. Your sole position was that Mr. Depp not be deposed at all for at least 5 months, and Chief Judge White disagreed with you. That was the previous Chief Justice. When Judge A became Chief Judge, Judge A took over this case. You are correct that we took extraordinary measures and followed stringent protocols for the protection of Mr. Depp's safety and health, as well as the safety and health of his counsel. It's so confusing to me when she doesn't say health and safety. That's just my brain. As well as the safety and health of his counsel, his entourage, and everyone in the room. In addition to alerting the police well in advance, and you may recall the police were called and had to remove people from outside our offices. We had the entire building deep cleaned and sanitized. We had a person stationed outside the restrooms who cleaned the restroom after each use. We implemented a lockdown of the building such that only residents with fobs could come up to any of the floors. Residents? Where were they taking the depo? We had our office deep cleaned each evening. We let Mr. Depp and his entourage in and out through a private garage entrance, so he never was outside the building or subject to the members of the public. We also ordered lunch each day from the deli and provided another large conference room for you and your entire group for breaks and lunch. All of this was at our expense, and they should do the same. In addition, we contacted Planet Depots well in advance, arranged for plexiglass barriers. Everyone from Planet Depots and everyone in my office wore masks, including me, even while taking the deposition. The only person who did not wear masks were Mr. Depp, you, Camille, and Mr. Depp's bodyguards. You have assured me that you will take the same precautions, but I have not heard of any yet. I would appreciate you letting me know today, since you have placed a deadline of tonight on my response. The following: the name of the person contacted at the police department and their contact info. The specific measures in place to allow Amber Heard and counsel access into and out of the building without contact to any member of the public that may be outside. No public. The safety measures inside the building to assure members of the public cannot access the area where the deposition would take place. The cleaning measures, arrangements for lunch each day, arrangements made with Planet Depot for plexiglass. These are the same things that she's put in her motion. You completely ignore the reason for this request. We have for quite some time agreed to produce Amber Heard for deposition in person with protocols in place. However, these past few weeks have shown an alarming widespread surge. This has gone on and on. And this is what she set up above. The infection has reached many who are fully vaccinated and have their booster. In my own world, we are seeing this with staff and their families, our families and friends. There is no foolproof way to fully protect against this strain of the vid. In addition, there are shortages of test kits and testing facilities and overcrowding medical facilities. This is all true and well documented in California. On top of this, the airlines are continuing to cancel flights. A real concern. This combined with Amber having a 9-month-old unvaccinated baby, a 2-year-old unvaccinated toddler. And again, given the timing, there weren't vaccines available for kids at that age. And being pregnant, this intensifies the risk and danger. I would appreciate you particularly addressing this paragraph in your response. You have demanded my response by 5 p.m. today. I am not sure why, since the courts are closed. I suggest you take the time to review my email below. Take a breath, Ben. And my detailed response above. Respond to each of the points. Oh, the condescension. The condescension. Respond to each of the points, including but not limited to providing the level of detail I am requesting on the measures you propose to take and have implemented, why you are disadvantaged by Zoom versus in person, and how you believe you can prevent the spread of the O variant during the depo, citing any medical authorities that may support your position. Once I have your full, carefully and thoroughly thought out response to these very serious health and safety concerns, we will consider this more fully and respond. Thanks, Elaine. Okay, that's thorough. I will say I understand some of the concerns. I understand. Oh, who was pregnant? Whitney was pregnant. So Amber Heard's sister, who she was living with, was pregnant. And again, this is the period of time when my family all got the vid, and there was nary a test kit to find. I remember December, January. It was a whole lot going on. So I get it. Some of it's hand-wringing, but I get a lot of it. Where's the response? Let's see. This is December 30th, 2021. Wait a second. Oh, yeah, that makes sense because then we click over to the new year. So this is December 30th, 2021 at 9:21 a.m. Ben, further to the below email. Oh, so she must have responded before he responded. This is at 8:50. I don't know. Ben, further to the below email, I think it's important to note that we made Amber available for in-person depo on 2 separate occasions while I was in this case, the first time in early December 2020, which you abruptly canceled shortly before, and the second at the end of March 2021, which you also canceled, indicating you no longer wanted to take her deposition at that time. Both were to be in person in Fairfax County. We did not have the O variant during either of those. The D variant had not yet appeared in the U.S. at all by the December deposition dates. Elaine, that was from December 30th at 8:56 a.m. Let's see. This is December 30th at 2:48 p.m. She asked for Ben's thorough, thoughtful response. I need you to go point by point, cite medical authority. And Ben was like, Elaine, true to your form, you decline our courtesy and offering you a choice of dates for calendar control and instead engaging in transparently gratuitous palaver, which I can't pronounce well. Accordingly, I will select a date more convenient for Mr. Depp, Wednesday, January 5th. We will notice the hearing for plaintiff's emergency motion to compel for Wednesday, January 5th. Yours. I'm not responding to your shit, Elaine. The court will help. Ma said the girls are fighting. The girls are absolutely fighting. And this is from Stephen Cochran to Ben Chu, December 30th, 3:04. I suggest you contact Sammy Monday and ask if Judge A will take your call. And as I previously suggested, let's refrain from personal attacks. Well, the true to form, I think was part of it. Oh man, this. All right. Oh gosh. Paragraphs in response. Friday, December 31st at 8:28 a.m. It starts early. Thanks, Steve. Since Ben chose violence, just kidding. Since Ben chose to include you in this email stream, I will continue to include you in the event that you may weigh in to help resolve these issues. Ben, I genuinely do not understand your reluctance to communicate with me in a meaningful manner on this very serious issue implicating the health and safety of many. When we were faced with taking Mr. Depp's deposition in our offices before vaccinations, we took it very, very seriously. I reached out to you by telephone, discussed all the steps we were taking to ensure Mr. Depp, his counsel, and his entourage remain safe from the public and with minimized risk of being infected with the vid. I even asked if there were any other steps you thought we should take and encouraged you to call in the event of anything else. So this goes back into Omicron, about taking the depo by Zoom, about the health risks. While you continue to threaten taking this to court, I am frankly not sure what your motion would be entitled. Since we are not refusing to allow Amber Heard to be deposed, just asking for the same safety and health precautions we gave to Mr. Depp and you earlier agreed to. They did agree and suggest Zoom as an alternative. We will ask Judge A to enter this and would be delighted if it was submitted as a consent order, as would, I suspect, Judge A. To try to resolve this very serious issue implicating the health and safety of many third parties, including children, I'm asking you to consider entering into a consent order. Can we just agree? Thank you. Have a happy new year, Elaine. At the end, let's see if we can resolve this amicably as we bid farewell to 2021 and welcome 2022. Perhaps we can set a new and positive precedent for resolving the remaining disputes in this case in the new year. I appreciate Elaine's optimism, but let us continue. Oh gosh. December 31st at 3:06 p.m. I have to blow my nose. Apologies. I'll be right back. I very much hope that's muted. All right. I know I should have given you guys music in the background. I have music in the background, I think. That's the background music. That's it. That was not muted. Oh God, I tried. I'm sorry. No. The new soundboard is failing me. Your microphone, Emily. We'll have to do it this way. All right, y'all. Enough of the nonsense. Oh man. All right. Let us continue. Sorry for the snottiness. We're doing a deep clean of the office. Cause dust. December 31st at 3:06 p.m. These emails are why civil litigation is the worst. Without prejudice is the title. Dear Elaine, the suggestion that I or anyone on Mr. Depp's team would not take the health and safety of the litigants seriously is false and insulting. Look, you know that I generally love Ben Chu, but I understand why she's saying, can't you just agree? I get it why she's saying, can't you just agree? Like, why can't you just agree? It is of a piece when you falsely accuse one of my colleagues of a misrepresentation concerning document production, which turned out to be your own mistake, for which you never apologized, and when you falsely accuse another of sexism, for which the conciliator reprimanded you, and for which you never apologized. Oh shit, he's just like, let me tell you about yourself. Yikes. Let me tell you about yourself, Elaine. Oh, man. All right. Ben Chu's going to tell you about yourself, Elaine. Let's go. It is of a piece when you falsely accuse one of my colleagues of misrepresentation concerning document production, which turned out to be your own mistake. I can see that happening based on what we saw. For which you never apologized. Apologizing would be good. And when you falsely accuse another of sexism, for which the conciliator, their third party, reprimanded you, and for which you never apologized. Tracks. When you took over as Miss Heard's third lead counsel in this case, I received calls. Everyone's typos get pointed out, Ben. I received calls from a respected Fairfax practitioner warning of this type of behavior. I was wondering where this was contained, and now we have found it. Warning of this type of behavior, but I am appalled nevertheless. We knew of your fuckery, but here it is. We will not be bullied, and I am confident the court will again recognize your accusations for what they are. This escalated terribly. As you know, I have already confirmed in writing that we will take all appropriate measures to ensure your safety. This is where Ben's coming from. This is Ben Chu's perspective. We already said that shit to you. Why are we still going on and on and on and on with these emails? We already said that we would. I've already confirmed in writing that we will take all appropriate measures to ensure the safety. I think where Elaine's coming from is she doesn't see that her perspective of appropriate measures and your perspective of appropriate measures mesh well. This is where they need the third party. My appropriate measures are this. What do you define as appropriate measures? I think that's the issue. Specifically, at your request, I agreed to the protocol used at Mr. Depp's depot at your offices in November 2020 when a more deadly variant was raging. No vaccines existed. The fact that we are agreed to conduct Miss Heard's depot in California, which spares Miss Heard exposure to 2 cross-country flights, is proof of our efforts to accommodate her safety concerns, since we would have been entitled to insist she fly to Virginia, just as you required Mr. Depp to fly round trip from London 7 months before the trial was scheduled, at the time before anyone had been vaccinated and when COVID rates were high in both London and Virginia, requiring him to quarantine for 2 weeks upon his return. Under no circumstances will we agree to conduct Miss Heard's deposition by Zoom. Fair. I think that's fair. The importance of in-person testimony by the parties has already been acknowledged by both sides and, more importantly, by the court. I think that's fair. Indeed, our consent order allowing remote testimony specifically excludes the parties and experts from being allowed to testify remotely. Also fair. However, in the interest of compromise and addressing any conceivable concerns about safety, we would be willing to consider positioning Ms. Heard's deposition to postponing to allow the current spike to lessen, a courtesy that you previously declined to extend to Mr. Depp. Specifically, we would consider 3 consecutive dates in February up until March 2nd, so when Ms. Heard's deposition would conclude on Friday, March 4th. Anything later would be too close to trial. Please let us know Ms. Heard's response by 3 p.m. EST this Monday, January 3rd. Otherwise, we will proceed to court and be like, Mom, solve it. Solve the problem. And the chat's pointing it out. This is what the issue is. You know, she's saying he's not accommodating. He said, I already accommodated it. What more do you want? And she's going on and on saying, you're not meeting our requirements. And he's like, what requirements? So this is the difference in perception between Ben Chu saying, I've agreed, and Elaine saying, but no, you haven't agreed. So what is calendar control, chat? They're saying we're just going to put it on calendar for the court and be like, we can't resolve this together. So they won't do what we're wanting to. We're going to make the court make them and make the court decide it. We can't decide amongst ourselves. So it's just putting it on calendar for court. I want to know what we ask for this is in reference to. Oh, and then this is the motion. Okay. So that was the end of the emails. Ben Chu was like, we'll just go to court then. Oh, wait, no, I missed one. Oh, how did I miss one? Nope, I think I got it. Dear Elaine, there we go. Here's the last one. Ben, thank you for a response. Apparently, you did not heed Steve's repeated admonitions to refrain from personal attacks. Let's cut to the I mean, no, he sure didn't. Ben Chu's going to say, no, I was just stating facts. Those aren't personal attacks. This was just me telling you what it is. And Elaine's going to say, no, you're attacking me. Let's cut to the chase. Do you disagree with any of the safeguards included in the consent order designed to allow for safe in-person deposition to go forward? If yes, which ones? Let's see if we can pound this out by consent order. Ben is like, we already agreed. And she's like, but what did you agree to? She wants it in writing. I understand why. These parties do not communicate well. We're going to go to the next exhibit. This is taking much longer than anticipated because we're going to go through the emails because that's where all the information is. And again, if you're interested in civil litigation and these kind of emails make you want to barf, maybe consider transactional, even though these happen there too. Criminal law has the least amount of emails I've seen. But these things go back and forth. All right, here we go. January 4th from Elaine to Ben Chu. Ben, I hope your powers are stored and all is well. Appreciate the pleasantries. Please send me the red line of the consent order when you are able and respond to the questions below. We're working on a short time frame and need to resolve these issues ASAP. Thanks very much, Elaine. January 3rd. Oh, these go back up. All right, let's go back to the bottom and work our way back up again. Let's see. December 3rd. Oh, those are already attached. We already read that one. When's this one from? December 4th. We read that one. December 4th. Good afternoon, Elaine. You're most welcome. Thanks for the follow-up. Depp agrees to provide the same safeguards. Okay, look. He said it. We read it. December 31st. December 31st. Ben, thanks for your quick response. Ignoring again the hyperbole so we can get to yes. Look, it's some good Elaine snark. Ignoring again the hyperbole so we can get to yes. The sole difference between the safeguards we had in place at Mr. Depp's depot and what you set forth in the consent order is the requirement of the N95 mask as opposed to unspecified masks. I do not think they had the N95 masks in November of 2020, but we still wear masks. Elaine, N95 masks existed long before 2020. Just saying. The CDC recommends the N95 masks as the best protection from the O variant, including for those who are vaccinated and have their booster. And the EDVA has implemented a policy of requiring those specific masks. California also implemented a policy of mandatory masks for all indoor gatherings. Yeah, but not N95 masks. I could not imagine the difference in specifying the type of mask now required and recommend would create a problem. But if it does, let me know. It clearly creates a problem. Otherwise, I would consider it a great New Year's gift for you to sign the consent order or authorize me to sign your name. Oh, that's not going to happen. And we can send it to the court on Monday. Happy New Year, Elaine. I like that she's optimistic. I mean, you got to give it to her. She's trying. Elaine's like, I'm trying, Your Honor. I want them to agree to the type of masks. They were sold out in 2020. They absolutely were. There was a scarcity of them. I agree with you. You couldn't buy them, but they existed. It's just me parsing words. Availability, I think, would have been the correct. Let's see. Ben, there was one more difference. The requirements of assuring everyone is vaccinated and boosted was not in play. You and I have been referring to this standard for some time, as has the court. This shouldn't be a roadblock. Elaine says it shouldn't be a roadblock, but Ben in previous emails already said it was fine. December 31st, this was, did we already read this? Dear Elaine, we'll get back to you on Monday, but to note a few things in advance of your consideration, pending our response. One, Camille and I are boosted, but I don't know that we can require the court reporter or videographer to get the booster as it's not a federal requirement, legally probably correct. All we likely can do is to check and to try. Neither Camille or I nor Mr. Depp nor you wore masks during the entire 3 days of Depp's deposition. The whole purpose of the plexiglass barriers, which worked well, was to protect each other and ourselves from having the burden of wearing masks, much less the heavy-duty masks you seek. During Ms. Heard's recent IME, she asked Dr. Curry whether she should remove her mask. Dr. Curry assented, or whether she could remove her mask. Dr. Curry assented. That's the medical exam. Cleaning of the bathroom after each use might have been reasonable precaution in November 2020, but now we know more about the vid. It's not and about how the vid is and is not transmitted. We can consider other arrangements, such as earmarking part of the women's room for your client's exclusive use. We were nowhere near 20 feet apart from each other during Depp's deposition. We did not ask you to memorialize the safeguards in a consent order, though Mr. Depp will do so. I hope you enjoy the rest of New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Turning off family time now. We'll send you a proposed markup Monday. Very truly yours, Ben. Good, Ben. Look at those boundaries. I am logging off. Goodbye. Oh, at 6:50, it's 7 o'clock p.m. on New Year's Eve. Monday, January 3rd, 7:58 a.m. Ben, I hope you had a nice New Year's celebration. I'm glad you're addressing those issues and working with us on a consent order, as these are very important health and safety issues. Safety and health issues. We are dangerously close to the deposition date, and apparently steps have not yet been taken, which need to be taken now. For example, I reached out to the local police department weeks in advance and followed up a week before. I reached out to the building management weeks before and had continuous dialogue up through the depot. I reached out to Planet Depot with regard to the plexiglass. I communicated these proposed measures. This is the same thing. While you agreed to take these same precautions I took, it appears you are backsliding rather significantly and alarmingly. For example, it is not correct that I did not wear a mask through the deposition. I, the court reporter and videographer, and everyone at my office wore masks throughout, so they're just fighting over who did what and when. You misread the portion of the consent order relating to the 20 feet. That is in common areas and was adhered to by our office. In the conference room, the plexiglass helps with the challenges of 6 feet. Great. I reached out to Planet Depots to request the videographer and court reporter are vaccinated and boosted, and the availability of plexiglass. While I do not agree with you that we know all the ways of which the O variant is spread, I would agree that sanitizing and cleaning the bathrooms each night would probably be sufficient. I've made that modification on the consent order. Okay. Elaine's like, do it the way I want you to do it, or we're bouncing. It's clear that they want this to be by Zoom. I also understand the concerns, especially when you have a client who lives with a person who's pregnant. I get it. I get it. But there are some things in there that are so picky that they think she is trying to punt. She thinks she's protecting her client. I can understand why they needed a third party for all this. This attachment is just the court's mask and social distancing policy. Attachment 5 is the redlined consent order to try to get this done. So those are the changes between the two, what's in and what's out. This is the California mask mandates. I'm assuming at the time, this is last updated December 15th, 2021. So that would have been close in time to when this was in court, because this was filed right at the beginning of January. There are tweets attached. Let's look at the tweets attached. Why are the tweets attached to this exhibit? That's odd. Let's look at the tweets. All right. That's wrong. That's the wrong way, Emily. Thread. CBS Los Angeles. Breaking. A COVID testing site at the Getty Center has detected LA's first case of flurona, a combination of influenza and COVID. Literally nothing worse. Tweet, that umbrella guy. Amber Heard gets deposed next week if it's anything like that divorce fiasco. Laughy emoji from January 5th, 2022 from that umbrella guy. I believe she didn't show up or walked out of the divorce one. I remember that it was testified to by Morgan Tremaine. Let's see. Since her other deposition and witness statements have been used in another court case Does she have to stick with that narrative or can she change it since it was a foreign court? Now I really miss Adam Waldman on Twitter. The real lawyer, Laura B, says if she changes anything, they can use all her prior depositions, witness statements, declarations, anything said under oath at that time to impeach her. True. Things may get interesting. Okay. An elf pirate said Amber Heard's deposition is next week. Ben Chu, where's the $7 million divorce settlement you didn't donate? Why is all of your photographic quote unquote evidence edited? Who is paying your legal fees? Why have you had no medical records for any of your supposed injuries? Amber Heard, I suppose that is supposed to be the Cookie Monster. I don't know. It's hard to see. Attachment 10. So that must have been the attachment of like, look, people are already talking about the fact that she's getting deposed. Okay. Oh, I wonder, it's interesting what's on the sidebar. I wonder whose Twitter account they use to take these. But they're clearly not following anybody. Sorry, I wanted to look at the details of the thing. Here's the protective order, item number 10. Are we almost done? Oh, sweet Jesus. All right, let's end the poll and see what you guys wanted to talk about first now that we're 2 hours and 10 minutes in. Oh, it was Patrick from SpongeBob. It looked like Cookie Monster to me. I'm sorry, I'm old. You guys are like, it's Patrick from SpongeBob. It looked like Cookie Monster to me. With food. That's how my brain worked. That's how I saw the eyes. You guys are like, it's Patrick. April 22nd, were there concerns? Where were there concerns then? Public? I don't know. Soph, I don't know what you're referring to. I'm sorry. All right. What do you want to talk about first? Doctors' devices. This was close with over 10,000 votes. Doctors, 52%. Devices, 47%. Let's get into doctors. You guys are like, that's Patrick eating. I'll have to go find it. I'd forgotten about Flurona because we've all been so deeply traumatized. It's okay to forget. It's okay to forget some of the things. So much has happened since 2020. It's okay to just be like, la, la, la. We're just doing this. Can we just do this? Please. All right. I'm not the only one who thought it looked like Cookie Monster. Perfect. Somebody else is like, it looks like Bing Bong. Bing Bong. I love Bing Bong from Inside Out, by the way. All right. Let's go to doctors. I'm going to swoop in just a second. We have a memo in support of the motion to compel, the opposition to the motion to compel. Let's see. This should just be the motion for the notice of motion is literally just a, hey, this motion's happening. So we're just going to go to the memo. This is memorandum in law in support of plaintiff Depp's motion to compel an independent medical examination. So we're going to do Depp's first, and then we're going to do Heard's second. So let's talk about the doctors. We know what came in because we saw the trial, but there was a lot of pretrial litigation about who would be compelled to have a medical exam, who would not be compelled to have a medical exam. We know that Amber Heard was compelled to be examined by Dr. Curry. We know that Johnny Depp was not compelled to be examined. Now we've got some of the underlying things. And again, these were filed under seal. Some things might still be redacted as appropriate to keep people's private information private, but these motions are largely unsealed. These were so they wouldn't taint the public. We know the result, but let's take a look at what the arguments were at the time. And again, no speculating on people's mental health. And we are going to be getting into the mental health of Amber Heard. We are going to be getting into probably the mental health of Johnny Depp in these motions. These are a first look for me. So I'm not sure exactly what's getting in and what these get into, but we are not doctors here. Some of you in the chat may be, but I appreciate your holding back from diagnosing people with personality disorders and name calling. That is how we've always done it in the chat. And yes, there are times we will poke fun, but we do not call people, psychopaths, sociopaths, narcissistic abusers, things like that. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much, chat. So let's see. Let's get into this motion, shall we? After that reminder, did I swoop? I did. I can't hear it in my ears. So that was a problem for me because I couldn't hear it in my ears. My memory's so much better when it is. So let us continue on. I know, chat, I appreciate you too, because when we get into these, it's easy to try to disparage people with mental health. Here's part of why I don't want diagnosing personality disorders. It gets very, very common on YouTube that you see creators just be like, oh, this person's a narcissist, that person's a narcissist. I don't think using people's mental health as a weapon, it doesn't feel right to me, being like, oh, you're this, so therefore I can discount you or other you or cut you down. I know so many in the chat have had their own dealings with mental health, and I never want people to feel like they are their diagnosis. They're not. Your behavior speaks really loudly. So just using a disorder or a diagnosis to try to like put somebody in a box and label them and say, oh, they're being shitty because of this. No, they're not being shitty because of this. They're being shitty because they're being shitty. And so that's part of the reason we talk about not diagnosing people's behavior in the chat. I understand that when you see patterns in behavior, you're looking at those patterns in behavior, but part of keeping the chat a safe place is making sure that we're not trying to tear people down by a diagnosis. And that's part of it. And we extend that to Johnny Depp. We extend that to Amber Heard. We extend that to James Spears, which of everyone we talk about on this channel is personally the hardest one for me. It is hard. It is hard sometimes, but we're going to talk about the behavior, and that is fair. So thank you in advance. When I talk about my own stuff, when I talk about being ADHD or dyslexic, I'm talking about it because those are my experiences. But it does bother me. There's times when I look around the internet at creators who are not ADD, who are just like, oh, I was so ADD. And it's like, no, it doesn't just mean like, oh, I was just this. It's more than that. And so I can find that frustrating. And so I know that others can find that frustrating. So that is why we just talk about the behaviors and the things we see here. If you think it in your head, I'm definitely not going to tell you what's in your head. I'm just telling you what we do in the chat. So thank you. A good reminder. And Elizabeth Turner, yes, like when people say, oh my God, yes. Oh my God, I'm so OCD. It's like, no, it's not. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. So yes, especially when they get it wrong. Yes. So that's why people are not their diagnoses, but we can talk about behavior, and we're going to get into it here because this is all about what's going to happen with these mental health assessments. So thank you all for being kind. Thank you all for being human. And thank you all for being law nerds. Let's get into it. So, Plaintiff John C. Depp moves this honorable court pursuant to Virginia Supreme Court Rule 4.10 to require defendant Heard to submit to an independent medical examination, IME, by a qualified healthcare provider of Mr. Depp's choosing. This ends up being Dr. Curry. In short, Heard has placed her mental condition directly at issue in the case. We knew that this was the grounds for this, and now we're getting into it. In short, Ms. Heard has placed her mental health condition directly at issue in this case. Her expert disclosures include proposed testimony from a clinical and forensic psychologist, Dr. Dawn Hughes, who will apparently testify at length about Ms. Heard's purported post-traumatic stress disorder and intimate partner violence-related behaviors. Dr. Hughes' assessment of Ms. Heard's mental condition was based on multiple psychological evaluations and interviews with Ms. Heard. While Mr. Depp has no intention of requesting such an examination, in this case, Ms. Heard's expert disclosure leaves him no choice. Legally correct. In order to meaningfully rebut Ms. Heard's proposed expert testimony and defend against her allegations in the counterclaim, Depp must be afforded his own opportunity to examine Heard's mental condition through an expert. Legally correct. Thus, the court should either require that Ms. Heard sit for a medical examination or strike Ms. Heard's proposed expert. So you get it. You can't have it both ways. Either we get to have you evaluated by an expert to rebut Dr. Hughes' testimony, or you don't get to use Dr. Hughes' testimony. Fair. That's fair. Background. The court may be aware this is not the first time that a request for medical examination has been submitted to the court. Interesting. Back on November 1, 2019, Ms. Heard brought a motion demanding a Rule 4.10 examination of Mr. Depp. Former Chief Judge White denied Heard's motion in a November 15th, 2019 order. Those were all sealed. I don't know if we'll get any of those. Finding that there was, quote, no good cause shown for the IME in this case. See Exhibit A and B. Ooh, they're attached. Good. In his successful opposition to Heard's motion, Depp correctly pointed out that his mental condition was not, quote, in controversy as required by Rule 4.10, while Ms. Heard attempted to unilaterally make Mr. Depp's mental condition an issue. See Exhibit C, where Ms. Heard argued in her own declaration that Depp had a, quote, history of drug and alcohol use and had a, quote, unquote, temper. Mr. Depp did not assert that he was suffering from PTSD or any other mental condition as a result of Ms. Heard's defamatory statements that would call his mental condition into question. His lawyers probably could have, because Mr. Depp testified about the impact to him of the defamation, but he did not bring causes of actions for intentional or negligent infliction of emotional distress. That would have put his mental health at issue, brought evaluations in, and opened him up to this. Heard's team opened her up to this by bringing the counterclaim, which if she had let go, she probably would have had a much easier case to win. I think bringing the counterclaim was probably, look, we don't know everything, but in hindsight, the counterclaim was probably a real fucking bad idea because they didn't win enough to make it worth it. They were always Waldman's statements, and it put so much at issue that Amber Heard had to defend that I think her own testimony and experts lost her the case. This wouldn't have needed to come in necessarily if she didn't bring the counterclaim. So some of this was an own goal on her team. This was a decision they must have made with her, but it's not a helpful decision. I think personal opinion, I think Amber Heard's team was overconfident based on the judge in the UK. And so some of these decisions were perhaps clouded or informed by that hubris. Like, oh, they see it the way we see it, so everyone's going to see it the way we see it. A judge and a jury are very different things, and the way they're looking at the evidence are very different things. And I think that made or forced some of these decisions. So, Mr. Depp did not assert he was suffering PTSD. I mean, he could have, they chose not to. Contrastingly, as discussed in further detail below, Ms. Heard has asserted that she suffers from PTSD and other mental conditions, purportedly as a result of the relationship with Mr. Depp and Mr. Waldman's statements, which puts it squarely at issue here. Thus, it is Heard, not Depp, who has made the strategic and calculated choice to put her medical or her mental condition in controversy. Probably a bad choice. Probably a bad choice. As a result, Mr. Depp's counsel has spent a week attempting to meet and confer with Ms. Heard's counsel to set up the examination. See Exhibits D and E. Ooh, those are probably emails. The efforts have been unsuccessful. Shock. Pikachu. Face. Surprisingly, rather than producing Heard for an examination, Ms. Heard's counsel has instead renewed her demand that Mr. Depp submit to an examination. The James Spears of it all. We're not. Wait a second.
We're not sitting for a mental deposition until he sits for a mental deposition. Like, we're not sitting for it until he sits for it. That's it.
That's exactly what James Spears was arguing about Britney Spears' depo. Literally exactly. We'll do it when you do it. Once again, Mr. Depp's mental condition is not at issue in this case. Nothing has changed since the court denied that request in November 2019. Argument, Mr. Depp's mental condition, Ms. Heard's mental condition is in controversy and good cause exists to grant the motion. Great. Law supporting it. It was granted, so we're not going through the law in depth. Let's see. There's a really long footnote here. Good cause further exists because Dr. Hughes' purported testimony is based on 25 hours of psychological examination and a battery of tests, footnote 1. The length and extensiveness of Dr. Hughes' examination, 25 hours spanning 5 separate testing sessions, necessitate a similar period of testing by Dr. Curry. While 25 hours is excessive, Dr. Curry believes that 14 hours will be necessary and sufficient to perform the required examination. A preliminary investigation of Dr. Hughes's findings reveals some serious deficiencies, and to ensure that the question regarding Ms. Heard's mental condition are adequately addressed by scientific evidence that is valid, measures what is intended with accuracy and reliable, consistent over time and circumstance, a re-examination of Ms. Heard is warranted. Dr. Curry's re-evaluation of Ms. Heard will utilize the same tests that were administered by Dr. Hughes, and the caveat that any instruments which were identified as posing poor retest reliability, variability, and results if the test is taken again, or validity concerns will be substituted for measures with greater established validity and reliability. Yikes. Another critical aspect of assessing the accuracy and scientific basis for Dr. Hughes's conclusions is examining the raw data collected by Dr. Hughes during her examinations. For that reason, we also request the court to require Dr. Hughes to produce the raw data underlying her conclusions. Production of raw data is standard practice anyway. True, it is. Because that's the battle of the experts. I get to look at yours, you get to look at mine, and we all get to then get on the stand a million times and talk about it back and forth. Dr. Curry is qualified to conduct the IME, and then they go through Dr. Curry's qualifications. Conclusion: in sum, Ms. Heard's made the strategic choice to place her mental condition in controversy, and good cause exists, and they grant it, obviously. Let's go look at the attachments. This is the court order. Defendant's motion for an IME of Mr. Depp is denied. Oh, this is the previous court order from the previous judge, Judge White. Transcript of hearing. Oh, good. Oh, the typeface on this. All right. Friday, November 15th, 2019. This is why these take so long to get through. There's so much attached. Devices. Are we getting to devices today? Possibly not. Sorry, y'all. Let's see. The court. Okay, thank you all. Go ahead and note your appearances, please. Mr. Treese. Good morning, Your Honor. Joshua Trees. I'm just going with Trees. From Woods Rogers. It's Joshua Tree from Woods Rogers. Sorry, I can't help myself. All the jokes. This was their previous counsel, I suppose. Because when is this hearing? November 15th, 2019? But we're going with Joshua Tree from the Woods because it amuses me. With Mr. Ben Rottenborn on behalf of Ms. Heard. Good morning, Mr. Rottenborn. Good morning. Mr. Chu, good morning. The court, I'm ready when you are. Mr. Trees. Thank you, Your Honor. We are here to Mr. Joshua Tree. We are here today on Ms. Heard's motion for an independent medical examination of Depp. Pursuant to Rule 410, the court is aware it provides that when a mental condition is provides that when the mental condition of a party is in controversy, the court on a motion by a adverse party, so on a motion by Ms. Heard in this case, the court may order the party to submit to a mental examination by one or more healthcare providers employed by the moving party on a motion for good cause. So what that means is the opposing party gets to pick the person and have them examined, and then that gets presented as a rebuttal essentially to what the other party's experts decide. Oh, nope, that's better. Oh, the way these print is so hard for me to read. As cited in our brief, Your Honor, good cause can be shown on the pleadings or affidavits. Here we have both. Good cause is demonstrated both in the complaint and the declarations. Mr. Depp's mental condition is in controversy, and a good cause supports. In fact, the court already found in connection with the motion to compel, quote, the complaint is broad enough to place Mr. Depp's mental condition at issue. The court's finding is indisputably correct, and good cause supports it. Now, as I mentioned, good cause can be demonstrated by the complaint affidavits. As Your Honor is aware, this is a defamation by implication case. There is the Washington Post op-ed, and the entire theory of the case is that the op-ed refers by implication to the 2016 declaration or affidavit that was submitted in connection with a TRO in California. Through their complaint, they say that the declaration at large is false. The declaration details allegations of abuse that are inextricably intertwined with Mr. Depp's mental condition. And so they go into that. Excuse me. In paragraph 33, the complaint alleges that Ms. Heard used her false abuse allegations in her 2016 declaration to obtain a TRO against Depp on May 27, 2016. There's no dispute that what they're calling as false is the 2016 declaration, and they make the same allegations in their counts. Because plaintiff's case is based on disputing the 2016 declaration, which intertwines Mr. Depp's mood disorders, Mr. Depp's substance abuse, with the specific instances of abuse that they may take issue with, they are calling all of that false. Mr. Depp's mental condition is in fact in controversy. And so, let's see. They go on to say the 2016 declaration, just to give you a high-level summary of what's at issue, and then I'll walk through the paragraphs. Please don't. So that the court can see it. It puts the plaintiff's mood disorders, substance use disorders, volatility, paranoia, temper, aggressive and destructive tendencies, delusional, irrational, and incoherent ideations, and, quote, his understanding of reality that oscillates depending on his interactions with alcohol and drugs, and his need for anger management counseling. All of those relate to his mental condition. And that's what they're saying they should be given a examination of. All of these are tied to allegations of abuse. All of those are alleged to be false by Mr. Depp. His mental condition is in controversy. Let's see. In paragraph 5, Ms. Heard states Johnny has a long-held history of drug and alcohol abuse. He has a short fuse. He's often paranoid, and his temper is exceptionally scary for me, and it has proven many times to be physically dangerous and or life-threatening to me. She attests that Johnny's relationship with reality oscillates. We heard that in her testimony as well. Depending upon his interaction with alcohol and drugs, Johnny's paranoia, delusions, and aggressions increase throughout our relationship. So is my awareness of his continued substance abuse. Because of this, she asserts she is afraid of Johnny, and she says Johnny also requires enrollment in anger management counseling. All of those allegations in her 2016 allegation directly relate to Mr. Depp's mental condition, put in controversy. They're trying to argue that because Amber Heard said these things in the TRO, and the TRO is what's at controversy, therefore it puts his mental health at controversy. Her putting it at controversy is not what counts, which is likely why this is denied. We're going to get through. So they are continuing to argue. The court's asking about cases and cases on point. Let's see. The court, without considering your Florida case at this time, which I guess I will take a look at some point, and look at, you agree it is a discretionary decision for me today. Mr. Trees, absolutely is, Your Honor. The court, thank you. Mr. Chu, let me hold up. I'm going to call the docket at 11:30. Or the court said, Mr. Chu, let me hold up. I'm going to call the 11:30 docket. So then the court called the other docket. Good morning, Your Honor. May it please the court. Ben Chu, Mr. Depp, I'd like to address a couple of things Mr. Trees said. And then they get into the pleadings. They're going to argue that Mr. Depp did not put these things at issue. Let's see. Your Honor, the court should deny this motion. Mr. Depp's current mental state has no bearing on the truth or falsity of the incident Ms. Heard described back in May 2016, 2.5 years ago. For the truth of that, we have the depositions of the 2 police officers who came to the scene that were trained in domestic abuse who were called. They both testified under oath in the divorce proceeding that they examined Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, that they interviewed them both. They traded off male and female. They found no signs of injury on either one of them. That's where we get the truth. And we'll have the police officers, we've asked them to stipulate to that testimony at which Ms. Heard's counsel was present and cross-examined, and they haven't told us yet. We may have to subpoena them, but we hope to use that testimony. So that's what is relevant here. As the court is well aware, to get to the rather extraordinary relief of an IME, not extraordinary in a personal injury case, that's standard operating procedure. But to get to the extraordinary relief of an IME in a defamation case, what Ms. Heard would have to establish is that A, Mr. Depp's mental condition was in controversy, and 2, that this is the most clear prong, that they fail is good there. The most clear prong that they fail is that there is good cause. Again, the way this is photocopied is hard to read. Here, Mr. Depp's mental and physical condition is not sufficiently at issue, and there is certainly no good cause to do it. As to the former, though Mr. Depp does allege generically emotional damages, there is no freestanding claim for either IIED or NIED, as we talked about earlier. Nor is there any specific allegation of particular mental injury. In fact, there was none. In these circumstances, a Colorado court held that where there is only garden variety allegation of emotional damages, the production of medical records is appropriate, but an IME is not. And that's precisely what Your Honor has already ordered Mr. Depp to do and what Mr. Depp has done. That included records that will be produced today, if they've not already been, the records of Dr. Kipper. Dr. Kipper's a witness. We expect him to testify that he personally witnessed violence between the couple and that the violence was initiated by Miss Heard. And Mr. Depp did not even respond physically to that violence. He will testify to that as a fact witness. So not an expert, but a witness that saw it. So this is a case of be careful what you wish for, but more fundamentally, Your Honor, the Virginia courts and courts outside Virginia reject IMEs, whereas the party seeks them to challenge her adversary's credibility. And then they go on and quote a case. I'm not going to read the entire transcript because, again, Andrea Burkhardt has made these all publicly available, and we know that the court denies it. Let's see. Let's get to the court's ruling. Request for an IME is denied. In this case, the medical records of Mr. Depp have been ordered to be produced. I assume will be produced if they've not already been. The request in this case, I don't want to characterize anyone's actions badly, but to some extent, the request seems to me to be an effort to have a medical assessment by an expert who would then be offered as a witness to testify as to the credibility of one of the parties. And I don't find that to be appropriate or helpful. We have a jury that will be in this case, and they can be the fact finders as to credibility of the witnesses. So I find no good cause shown for an IME in this case and deny the request. So that's why it was denied. And then, let's see, defendant's memo in support of her Rule 410 motion. So this is, again, Amber Heard's motion to try to get to a examination of Johnny Depp. Let's see. Depp's mental conditions is in controversy because the complaint was broad enough to place it at issue. That's not going to fly. We've already seen it not fly. We've seen these same arguments just in the hearing. Plaintiff makes the same allegations in each of his claims for relief. With it was false. Throughout her 2016 declaration, Heard attested that Depp's mental condition motivated his actions. Heard can't place it at issue. Depp has to place it at issue. Mr. Depp specifically challenges the truth or falsity of the above statements and his actions as motivated by his mental condition or substance abuse. As shown above, the 2016 declaration and plaintiff's complaint undeniably place Depp's mental health at controversy. That's not how that works. He has to place it at controversy in this circumstance, and he's not asking for relief based on any condition. Dr. Spiegel is qualified to conduct the IME. What? Wait, what? They proposed that Dr. Spiegel was going to be the one to conduct the IME, and Spiegel ends up testifying that he looked at Johnny Depp based on his public information. So Spiegel was on board with all of this back when this was filed. Let's go look at the date real quick. Oh, boy. And so Spiegel, instead of evaluating him, was like, well, I'll just watch some of his movies then. This, again, is from November 1st, 2019. Oh, boy. This is all so much better in hindsight. This is so much better in hindsight. All right. This is so much better in hindsight. So let's see. Sorry, guys. I need to answer something. Thank you. All right, let's look at Spiegel. Sorry, I meant to have this on the screen so you could look at it. I can't evaluate him, so I'll just testify anyway. I mean, that got him into a whole big can of worms, didn't it? Dr. Spiegel is qualified to conduct the IME, and his selection is appropriate. Dr. Spiegel is a board-certified psychiatrist licensed by the Board of Virginia. Dr. Spiegel has been continuously licensed since 1993, more than 25 years experience in his field, and is an active clinical practitioner. Dr. Spiegel completed his undergrad degree at Duke University in 1985, his medical degree at SUNY downstate Brooklyn in 1989. He completed his psychiatry internship at Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center and his psychiatry residency at Penn State. Since 2013, Dr. Spiegel has been the vice chairman of the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences at Eastern Virginia Medical School / Centra Norfolk General Hospital, and a professor of clinical psychiatry there. Since 2004, he's been the director of consultation and liaison service at Eastern Virginia Medical School. Dr. Spiegel has authored more than 60 publications and is a member of numerous professional organizations, including the Psychiatric Society of Virginia and the Medical Society of Virginia. He is a fellow of the American Psychiatric Association. His curriculum, his CV is attached as Exhibit 2. Dr. Spiegel, therefore, is well qualified. Dr. Spiegel is the appropriate healthcare provider to perform the IME. Okay. Dr. Spiegel's examination should be conducted without the presence of third parties. And then he got deposed and called Johnny Depp an idiot during his deposition. So that happened. June 24th, 2021. Dear Elaine, it says Miss Bartahoff, but you know. As you know, there are a number of pending discovery issues we wish to discuss. As you also know, we have requested on at least 4 occasions to meet and confer with you telephonically about some of these matters. And on at least 4 separate occasions, you have declined to do so. Please allow this letter to serve as a 5th and final attempt to confer and schedule a telephonic conference. We continue to hope that we can reach a reasonable agreement on each of the matters discussed therein without the need for motion practice, without the need to be like, Mom, make them do it. To that end, please provide a substantive response to this letter no later than the close of business Tuesday, June 29th. Rule 410, mental examination. The strategic choices made by Ms. Heard and her counsel in this action have left us with no alternative but to seek an independent medical examination of Ms. Heard. Facts. We would not ordinarily seek such an examination in the context of this action, and we would have been reluctant to do so even now, although we note Ms. Heard and her counsel have shown no such restraint, bringing a motion for examination of Mr. Depp in November 2019, which motion was very properly denied. So it was like, we would have left it alone. We would have left it alone. We would have left it alone if you had left it alone. It's the same with the appeal. They would have left it alone. Depp, wouldn't have appealed, which is what his attorneys have said, wouldn't have appealed if she hadn't appealed. We wouldn't be doing this if you didn't do it. However, Ms. Heard has now unmistakably tendered her own mental condition as an issue in this action, as is clearly demonstrated by her expert disclosures in this action, in which she designates Dr. Don Hughes. Ms. Heard's expert disclosures state that Dr. Hughes was asked to conduct a forensic psychological evaluation of Ms. Heard to assess for the dynamics and consequences of IPV that may have been present in her relationship with her now ex-husband, Mr. Depp, and to assess for any psychological consequences stemming from the defamatory statements to the media made by Mr. Depp through his attorney, Adam Waldman. This is why discovery matters so much. Just for a practical context, when you see attorneys fighting back and forth about discovery, we're seeing it in the Britney Spears case and we've seen it in others. If they don't get the disclosures in time from Amber Heard, they don't know that Heard's planning to do this, which could run them out of time trying to then get a responsive expert. It's why there's timing for these things, and it's why they come up and get fought over so much in court. Because if you don't do it this way and you don't do it that way, then you're not going to get them, you're not going to be able to respond. So this is okay, if you want to offer this, that's fine, but we get to respond. Ms. Heard's expert disclosures further state that Dr. Hughes' opinions are based on her forensic psychological evaluation of Heard, and that Dr. Hughes arrived at various conclusions relevant to the factual disputes in this action on the basis of the forensic evaluation, including that Heard presented, quote, a symptom picture that is consistent with traumatic stress, particularly interpersonal related trauma, and that the test administered by Ms. Heard's retained expert revealed that Ms. Heard was in a very serious situation with Mr. Depp and at a risk for serious, repetitive, and deadly IPV, which we saw her testify to. As such, Ms. Heard, who is well represented by a large number of capable Virginia and California attorneys, I mean, that's an understatement, it's a fucking fleet of attorneys, has made an informed strategic choice, that unambiguously tenders her own mental condition as an issue in this action, given Ms. Heard's obvious intention to present evidence of her own mental and psychological condition at trial, including evidence based on a forensic psychological evaluation in which she voluntarily participated for her own strategic use in connection with litigation. Mr. Depp has no choice but to undertake appropriate discovery to investigate and refute this anticipated testimony at trial. Yep. Then they get into their interrogatories. Again, questions answer under oath. And then they get into the request for productions. Hey, remember, turn these things over to us. These are their other discovery requests for productions. We also note that Ms. Heard's counsel has repeatedly commented during depositions about the metadata and time and date stamps purportedly reflected in these pictures. CEG transcript of deposition of Tracy Jacobs at pages 109 to 125. And just to direct your attention, the metadata is from May 21st, 2016 at 9:24 p.m. Do you recognize this as Amber Heard? Deposition transcript of Alejandro Romero, pages 60 through 61. I'm going to ask you to take a look at this metadata over here, and that's date May 21st, 2016 at 9:24:52. Do you see that? Deposition transcript of Melissa Signs at 180. Officer Signs, I'm going to ask you to take a look at exhibit number 24. That metadata here reflects May 21st, 2016 at 9:22:24 p.m. In short, Ms. Heard clearly intends to rely on photographic evidence to support her claims of abuse. The veracity and authenticity of these documents is in dispute, and Mr. Depp is entitled to undertake a reasonable investigation as to whether there has been any tampering or manipulation with the underlying data so as to generate images that support Ms. Heard's narrative. These requests are calculated to accomplish that and are clearly appropriate. Ms. Heard's objections should be withdrawn. So this is a request for production for the underlying data imaging and inspection of Ms. Heard's devices. That fight went on for a while. And I don't think Depp won it because we saw a lot of issues with the metadata in trial. And Depp's experts weren't able to testify about the metadata. Heard's experts got into it a little bit, but Depp's experts didn't. So, let's see. Counterclaim, disclosure of expert witnesses. So this is the Dr. Hughes disclosure that's going to talk about Dr. Hughes's qualifications and what Dr. Hughes is expected to testify about. We know what Dr. Hughes testified about, but this is, these are the tests that were administered, and this is what Depp's team would have to rely on. And we can go over those. I don't think we need to go over them in more depth, but this is all of what she testified to. So this gets into Amber Heard's kind of a breakdown of everything that Dr. Hughes was expected to testify to and then did testify to. And then we get into Mr. Schnell's. Why is that attached here? Mr. Schnell's CV is attached. Mr. Schnell's an accomplished executive with a history of running large technological organizations. Is this a separate disclosure attached? Oh, interesting. Here's why I'm more interested in the Schnell declaration is because we saw such broad testimony from Dr. Hughes. It seemed that the tech experts were much more limited in their testimony based on motions. So this is very interesting to me. Schnell is expected to testify as an expert in the field of statistical and forensic analysis of social media. As an expert in this field, Mr. Schnell and his firm, Berkeley Research Group, conducted an investigation regarding to posts on social media, primarily Twitter, that contained or exposed negative comments and or negativity, quote unquote negative posts, quote unquote post about Amber Heard from April 8th, 2020 to present. Schnell located and collected and is expected to testify that there are over 1 million negative posts relating to Amber Heard from April 8th, 2020 through present. Specifically from the beginning of April 2020 until the end of January 2021, there were 1.2 plus million negative posts relating to Amber Heard, including one or more of the tags hashtag justice for Johnny Depp, Hashtag Amber Heard is an abuser, hashtag Amber Turd, or hashtag we just don't like you, Amber. Some of them are overlapping. So they'd already limited and selected the hashtags they wanted to look at. Poor Schnell, he looked so nice, but he had a terrible task. Yeah, I don't think they used Schnell well. And I think this was the first time he testified like this. And you heard Schnell testified that he was told, and I think Heard's team did this to Spiegel too, not to defend Spiegel, but I think they did this to Spiegel too. You saw Spiegel testifying about the melted ice cream and saying, oh, well, I was told it was vomitous. That's bad information in for your experts. And it seemed that Schnell also got bad information in. Now, granted, Schnell cannot take the job and be like, I'm not doing this. But it seems like what they asked him to do was, look, it's not in controversy that these are negative. So can you run these? But I think there is controversy about whether justice for Johnny Depp is necessarily negative regarding Amber Heard in a legal sense. I think that's fair. I'm very much more interested in this disclosure. It goes on to say some of these tweets are overlapping. The number of distinct tweets that fall into the category is just over 1 million. Well, yes, some of these tweets are going to use multiple hashtags. So about 200,000 of them, because we've gone from 1,243,000 to 1,019,000. So hundreds of thousands of them used, or at least, is that mathing? From 200,000 to like 119? Yeah. So at least 100,000 of them plus are using multiple of these hashtags. Fair. Some examples of the posts that Schnell has collected and provided to counsel for Mr. Depp and is expected to testify include, look, these are replying to. Replying to is hard because you don't see what it's replying to. November 27, 2020. Big pass on that. I don't watch shows with abusers and liars in it. I'll read the book instead. Hashtag, and then you can't see them. These are copied horribly. It doesn't hurt that all of the evidence proves that these are a mess. Thinking about when Johnny and Amber went into couples therapy and the therapist confirmed that Amber had severe personality disorders. So these are what they're considering negative, which is interesting because these individual tweets didn't come up. Oh, there's the Walled Minion reference. That's the first time I've seen a Walled Minion reference. Interesting. Melissa said, we don't want anything from you. You're a vile excuse of a human being and money-grabbing, fame-hungry tramp. Oh, okay. Who stood on the backs of genuine survivors and trampled over what it means to be feminine. I mean, okay. So on and on. But again, if you gave these to Depp's team, he would argue some of these, are these angry about or questioning Amber Heard? Yes. Well, it took 4 years, but everyone knows the truth now. She can hold as many press conferences as she likes. Okay. Is that particularly negative? I think there's some discourse over that. Schnell is expected to testify about the statistical analysis of Twitter posts, including the number of such posts per user. The number of users creating such posts, the commonality of the wording, and this was before they got shut down on because Amber Heard originally sued that there were bots that were doing a harassment campaign. All of that got removed from the case. This seems to try to still bring in some of that. Look, there's this many accounts, they're doing this much. There's this online harassment campaign, but they can't tie it to Johnny Depp and they can't tie it to Waldman. So how can they tie it to the defamation? So they end up just bringing it in, and then they end up just proving that these hashtags exist. To conduct his search, Mr. Schnell and his team utilized the official Twitter API and conducted the following searches from April 1st, 2020. Justice for Johnny Depp, Amber Heard is an abuser, Amber Turd, and we just don't like you, Amber. He said in his testimony that those were randomly selected. This is saying that they search for those specifically. It'll be interesting to know which is true or if there's just more detail. The results of these searches were pulled directly from Twitter using the API function. Okay. Because of the nature of the searches, Spell is expected to testify that it is possible to show that the vast majority of the results contain negative statements about Miss Heard. Well, if you're searching Amber Heard as an abuser, I would expect that the people using that hashtag are saying negative things. Mr. Chanel is expected to testify that there's no way to remove other people's posts from these social media platforms, and therefore the negative post impact will always remain. I mean, fair. Chanel's opinions are within a reasonable degree of scientific probability. I mean, okay. And then it gets into other experts' disclosures. Interesting. I will go through these more. We are bumping up on time today, but I will go through these more. This is the, we're now getting into the Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot of it all. There's the Zendaya of it all. And what those experts were testified to. So these are all of the expert disclosures. No wonder it's so long. You guys, I don't know if we're going to get into the rest of these today because we're at almost 3 hours and I have to scoot. I'm going to try to get to questions real quick because, you know, I have questions, you have questions, we have questions. Or it's FAQ and find out with the questions. We're going to get to questions real quick. I'm going to get to as many super chats as I can. We're going to have to get into the rest of these document. We got into some of the metadata, but not much. We're going to have to get into the rest of the metadata of it all because A, the emails regarding the protective order were really, really interesting to me. And B, there's just a lot more to cover. So maybe we might have to do 2 more episodes on this. There's so many documents and my brain can't stream these poorly scanned documents. It just is the way that it is, but I cannot read them for hours on end. My brain will implode. Unfortunately. So I have questions. You have questions. We have questions. Law Nerds, it's so good to see you. I should remind people to do the YouTube things, like the like things, the subscribe things, the YouTube things. Thank you. We got to, we're absolutely going to continue with part 3. We might have to do a part 4, which is fine. We'll just keep going together. We'll just keep going together. FAQ around and find out air horn. Oh, wait, we can do, it's time for FAQ around and find out. Pour one out for Jason. Sorry, it sounds very much like the applause at the beginning of Brohem by Pennywise. All right, let us do it. So we're going to have to do at least 2 more, I think. Watching from Starbucks in Oregon, drinking my iced white mocha. That monster laugh is terrifying. It's really fun. I like it. Where's the monster one?
I've got to figure out
why I can't hear these in my own ears. That's next. That's my next thing. Side note, but Britney's song you must listen to is called Scary, which is a fun song from Femme Fatale. Absolutely put it on the list. Krispy Kreme hot donuts in San Diego. Cheers, Mama 4. I've got to be honest. This might be an unpopular opinion. I'm sorry. Sometimes I have to be controversial on the internet. No, I never want to be controversial on the internet. It just happens. Because, you know, apparently we're all just Depp fans paying to unseal documents instead of lawyers who just really want to know what happened behind the scenes. But whatever. I like cake donuts better than the fluffy ones. I do. I like cake donuts better. I'm sorry. And the lack of adequate donuts, I need to find a good donut place in Middle Tennessee. I have not found a great donut place in Middle Tennessee. Fitz News is reporting that the gag order was denied in the Murdoch case. That's great news. I really like Fitz News a lot. They've done just tremendous work. Bun Chan, question, Rust update. There will be, because I'm going to be pulling the documents. Incoming controversy. Yeah, I like cake donuts better. I do. I think the other ones are called yeast donuts, the big floppy one, the big puffy ones. I just like cake donuts better. I do. Sorry, team cake donut. Sorry, team fluffy donut. Please use your voices when you meet with other law nerds. I will try. Turn on the demon voice and say Elaine. Now we're going to start just taking requests for the voice changer. I'm going to have to add some more voices.
Elaine, your mic.
We're going to have a lot of fun with this. I can't wait. Hi from Sweden. You will be my choice of the evening as I make strawberry squares. Those sound delightful. Thank you. Good morning from Texas. Coffee is brewing. Love your channel. I mean, we're almost done with coffee because I've talked so much today. I'm in Southern California. My sister's in Spring Hill, Tennessee. Really enjoy your coffee and Cursey. Hello to Liz and sister, who's local. My son is at the McKinley fire in California. Please say a prayer, my friends. Absolutely, Sharon. And for all those impacted and affected, I'm sure there are firefighters from all over the country heading to California again during fire season. Would love to see you go over the Netflix lawsuit against Abby and Emily, who made a musical about Bridgerton. I love that this came in before I got to it. Yay, we did that. Love coffee and Cursey words. I bought a sticker for the back of my back window of my truck. Amazing. C. Warren said, I found you through Rec Law. You and Nick have completely different lines, but I love you both. We do. We do. And that, you know what? Here's the thing. I am not going to judge anyone for their lines. I'm not. It's either for me or it's not or whatever. The audience gets to choose. And I think as long as I make it clear where I'm at, that's helpful to the audience. I tell you where I'm at. And so y'all know. And occasionally people come in and are like, what do you mean this chat is not Thunderdome? It's like, right. You don't have the right to be a dick in my chat. We have taken that right away from you. Goodbye. Yeet. And then everyone is, which is great. So I love it. And it's what works for me. And I would never tell an audience, don't go watch another content creator. Y'all get to choose. That's what y'all do. You vote with your eyeballs, your ear holes, and your likey, subscribey, commenty things. Happy Tuesday. Are you going to cover the Pitt Jolie case over the winery? I have covered it. I need to do an update. There aren't enough hours in the day for all the things I want to cover. Hello, Anna. Thank you. 660K. Yeah, yes, Viral Art Flow. We are at 666K. As you see in the background, though, I think we're almost at 667. Lilith says, as a musician, I know got a copy strike on my own page for a musician I know got a copy strike on his own page for his own music. Yeah, it's insane. His page is the Lair of Voltaire. I love the name, and it does happen. It's crazy. Thank you so much for building such a wonderful community. Community is first, always over here. It is the goal. Have you watched the Drea McRae situation? I have not. If it's a court case, I don't think it's in court. I don't think it's in court, but I have not. If it's not in court, I have not. Let's see. I was trying to pull something up. Currently waiting on a criminal verdict to come back, and this Coffee and Cursey Words is coming at the best possible time. Austin Bragg, there is nothing harder than waiting for a verdict. The entire world now gets to feel what the lawyers feel, because waiting for verdicts is hard stuff. Thanks for keeping me company while I paint my bedroom for the 4th day in a row. This 35-year-old body is sore and tired. I got halfway through organizing back here and like I had to clear the field of view for streams, but I'm still reorganizing my office. Did you get my email requesting a collab with me about copyright and art? Great minds. Valerie, if I got it, I personally have not seen it yet. It doesn't mean my team hasn't seen it. It's just been busy over here, but I will ask them to go take a look. It's not fun to stay at the DMCA. Maybe you should do a copyright with Hogue. We should do a copyright collab for sure. Why is Nicholas Cruz in person at trial after attacking a security guard? I did not know he attacked a security guard. I have no idea about that. But what I can say generally is criminal defendants have a confrontation right under the Constitution, so this might help. There is a right to confrontation under the Constitution where you have the right to see the witnesses against you. So taking that right away from a criminal defendant, it takes extraordinary circumstances, and generally there's a lot of procedural stuff that has to happen. So I would say that the underlying cause is probably the confrontation clause in the court's own determination. I don't know the circumstance. I don't know the court's determination there, but the confrontation clause is going to be the underlying. Bex, Emily, you are my strength and my calm when my anxiety, depression get overwhelming. The Cursey words are my relaxation techniques. Amazing community. Love you all. We love you too. And the fucking Cursey words. We love all of it. So thank you for such a kind super chat. Oh, you guys, we're almost at 667. We're pretty close actually to 667. So this is we're gonna bing pretty soon. She hurts us, but it's worth it. I don't know what that was in relation to, but if it hurts so good, we're not gonna yell about it. Season 1, episode 6 was naked. Oh, that's true. For Bridgerton, there was some naked. It wasn't as gratuitous as other naked things. Did you read the Bridgerton second book? I haven't read any of the books. I've only seen season 1. Season 2, I enjoyed. Season 2 was fire. Love it. I loved it too. Just subscribed on Patreon. The email said, I pledged my subscription for a year. I need to see if I can control those emails. That's not what I was looking for. Hold on. I'm going to show you guys the counter real quick. I got to screen share a different screen so you guys can see. me looking when why won't it let me do it? Now my computer's like, no, we're going to fight with you. Not helpful. We are professionals here. Whap, whap. It's just not doing it. All right. Well, we are at 666, 936 and scrolling. Tool is my favorite band of all time. I must check out the VSQ covers. I enjoy them. Love listening while crafting. It helps multitask. Thank you, Jackie. All right. We're going to get to a few of these. Love how Emily is popular today. It's my first name, but it wasn't so popular growing up. Love you, Emily. I know. And now I regularly go to Starbucks and they're like, we've got 3 Emilys. What's your order? And I'm like, 3? There are 3 Emilys? Get out. So it is, I'm now finding the Emilys in my adulthood, but when I was a kid, there weren't other Emilys. So there we go, y'all. We rollin'. We rollin'. Rolling. All right. We'll keep this up for a second because now y'all have made it roll. I was on a Zoom with Julia Quinn and Adoge and hosting during lockdown. They were amazing. You should try and get them on your show. Okay. I haven't seen Bridgerton, not really my vibe, but I refuse to be compared to people who like popcorn jelly beans. Liv is inside again. That's very fair. Liv's like, I'm not in that overlap. Not in that overlap. I love the soundboard. That's why Archive that's why Archive of Our Own is so good. They have their own lawyer team to prevent companies from going after fanfic writers, i.e. transformative works for free. Tony Stretch, thank you. Emily, are you going to cover the Sandy Hook Alex Jones defamation trial at all? Probably not. I like the idea. It's a lot to get into. I like the idea of Bridgerton, but I don't like Netflix. That's fair. I'm cheap, not paying for both cable and a streaming service. Also fair. I don't pay for cable because I don't like cable. Oh, I brought up the earwax jelly beans again. Rewatch, react to Elaine's direct cross tapes using the voices. I don't know if we even have time to do that. Metallica S&M is one of my favorite albums ever. I love it. So yes, I think it's great, but I love Metallica. Can Amber Heard enough prevent paying the judgment to Johnny by putting assets, bond equities, and a blind trust? She is one to purchase the house. Well, she's allowed to use a trust to purchase the house. And if you're a celebrity, it's a good idea to use an unknown trust to purchase a house so people can't find you. She seems to be rapidly liquidating her assets. Well, Johnny Depp's team has to perfect the judgment and try to attach her assets. I'm not going to get into avoidance of payment because that borders on the legal advice, but Johnny Depp's going to have to go attach her assets to try to get to them because it doesn't look like she put up a suspension bond. I know R.R. Smith. I know nothing about this. I'm sorry. Emily, they referenced Tug as the security issue. I mean, apparently they're very scared of his Twitter. Late to the party. Love your energy. Thank you. It's a little low today, but that's okay. Love the videos. Take care. Thank you. We're going to try to get to some of the question. Morgan Tremaine said the first depo failed. Morgan Tremaine's testimony was, I believe, about TMZ following around for the depositions related to the divorce. Of course, we work all the time. It's 3:31 a.m. and you're keeping me sane while I work on a litigation matter. The Law Patrol, yes. That's how it is. I'm glad to be your colleague in the background as we do this. Though you can't hear it, Ben Chu's voice is chef's kiss. Well, Rosengart too. And we heard it over stream. Hey, look at us. We're getting it. We're going to bing soon at a 667. Real quick, I wanted to say that you've inspired many and have educated more. That knowledge is more valuable than the words I'd like to say. Thank you. Fools Arcadia, thank you. It's nice to hear, especially when those that do what I do, and myself included, get slammed on Twitter for being like Depp stands. It's so funny. No matter what case I cover, those who don't like the way the coverage goes are just like, it's like, no, man, we're really trying to just break it down. So, the deep voice changer sounds like Satan on South Park. I love it. I love your show. You make my day orders go faster. I'm so glad. That's what we're here for. Let's see. Have you tried Five Daughters Bakery in Middle Tennessee? Yes. They have good treats and layers donuts. Yes, they are cronuts. They are cronuts. And when you want a cronut, they're fantastic. But when you just want a donut, cake donuts are what my brain goes to. Have you looked at the Soundgarden case? No, but I will. Thank you for what you do and for talking me through this hellish return from vacay work week. It's the worst. It's the worst. There were years I didn't vacation because I'm like, I can't deal with the bounce of getting back. Please read my email. My friend was a DV victim in Tennessee. I'd love to share the GoFundMe with the law nerds. Absolutely, Auntie. And if you want to at me on Twitter, I will also reshare it there, but I will go look for the email as well. Those things get done a little bit slowly, especially my days do get away from me sometimes. It gets crazy over here. Bobby Cat said, I swear Amber's legal team contacted the wrong Dr. David Spiegel. There's another doctor with the same name who is an expert in PTSD and very well respected. What are your thoughts? I've talked about this a little bit before. Even if they thought it was somebody else, when he showed up to the deposition, they should have realized it wasn't him. They had to talk to him before the expert declarations. They had to. So even if the person they originally contacted wasn't the one they had in mind, by the time they get to expert declarations, they would have known. It's not like he just shows up to testify. They were working with him per his Newsweek statement. He was on this case for over 2 years, and we see that in the expert declarations from 2019. So they would have had time to sort it out. I don't think it was a mistake. I don't. This is so much better in hindsight. What would you say this is the best prequel you've ever read? I mean, it is a pretty good prequel because now we know how it played out. So it gives more weight to certain parts of it because you're like, oh, I see what they were arguing and we see how it played out. And things like, you know, Elaine being muted on Zoom has no impact on us before we've watched the whole trial the same way. Thanks for the great coverage of Depp v. Heard. Made those boring Depp rows more more bearable. Love from, I don't know if I can pronounce, Timisoara, Romania. I hope I pronounced it right. I probably did not. But hello. I'm sorry, but Amber was in the UK with a scarf around her face and not an N95 mask while Bruno was ramped, but now has a problem. I mean, again, I'm not going to judge people for their feelings on the vid or how they want to protect themselves on the vid. But Ben Chu clearly thought it was stalling. That might have been one of the reasons Ben Chu thought it was stalling and puffery. He said, we'll take the same precautions you took. And then it was like back and forth about what it needs to be this. And he was clearly done. Honey Bob Marley said I was triple vaxxed when I got the vid. It felt like someone hit me with a hammer right in the middle of the forehead. I don't wish this pain on anyone. So I kind of understand Elaine's point. And again, I'm not going to judge anyone for trying to take the precautions. I can understand why. It's just once Ben Chu says we're taking them, Elaine was like, but you're not confirming enough. Without prejudice, Ben, bring the fire if he doesn't want this one in open court. I mean, I think he doesn't mind. You can never send an email that you don't anticipate being in open court. Ever. I'm dying of laughter. Now we know why Judge A was already done with this day one. Yep, there was a lot that went on behind the scenes in this case. A lot of litigation. Traipsing is part of the show, Elaine. It's part of the selling the celebrity and their work. Traipsing is definitely part of the work, for sure. Let's see. I'm going to get to a few more. He won the fight with the device's metadata, but she took so long to produce it, there was no time for the expert to do analysis. Yes. And it seemed like there was no consequence because that was ordered at the end of November 2021. They were ordered to turn it over. Emily, this past April, my daughter walked down the aisle to Vitamin String Quartet's version of All I Want Is You by U2. I just lost it. That must have been beautiful. It must have been absolutely beautiful. I wish I had been more creative, but we got married ages ago and we were like, this is just what it's going to be. So many questions on how Amber is going to pay and will she, and what if she doesn't pay Johnny Depp? I still believe JG just wanted his name clear and the real truth to come out to move on with life. So what happens if she doesn't pay is kind of what we're seeing play out in the Girardi case with the Rigomez victims of Tom Girardi. They attached his property, and now that it's in bankruptcy, they're trying to perfect on those. So that's what we're going to see here. We can see Johnny Depp choose to attach property, and if it gets sold, get it. But there's a whole separate court process for trying to perfect the judgment and trying to get the money, and we haven't seen that start yet. I don't know if Johnny Depp cares, so we'll see. But with that, I do have to get going. Unfortunately, We have so much more to cover, so we're going to cover it. Tomorrow, there's a new episode of the podcast on your favorite podcast player. And then we will be premiering the video here with chat. So I will be in the chat with you. Don't forget to come and chat. That is a breakdown of everything that was ruled on in the Britney Spears hearing and what is continuing to go on. And I think it's a good case brief on why the Britney Spears case is still in court and the money that they are fighting over. So that's tomorrow's podcast. Thursday morning, I will be back with more of the unsealed documents because we're not done yet. And there's so much more I want to see. I think I'm not even going to do a quick bits on Thursday. I think we're just going to do all documents because we did spend an hour doing those today because I was really interested in them. Thursday, I think we're just doing an entire unsealed stream and we'll circle through the rest of it that we can. And then I'm going to do a podcast episode to summarize all of those. So that's my plan for content. And then we'll circle back with Rust and other matters in the next second week of August. And then we're going to have some members only content coming. We're at 666,952. So we're almost there. I mean, there's over 20,000 of you watching. So if a few of you subscribe, we'll bang. But I will, we will be moving on to some other content and then we'll circle back if stuff comes up with this, which I'm sure that it will. After the unsealed documents, the next thing I anticipate is the appeal briefs, and we'll get into them then. What else is on my mind? Oh, I'm going to do a reacts to Camille Vasquez's interview. I have not watched it yet. That will be an I Have Thoughts podcast episode, and we will have a members only live stream next week. I will share that in the members only spaces. If you become a member either on YouTube or at thelawnerdsunite.com, that was loud. Either on here on YouTube or on lawnerdsunite.com on Patreon, then you will see the date and time for that. That's going to be next Wednesday. So there's plenty of time to join in the members only spaces. And we will talk about other things there. And that's always half Q&A, half talking about stuff that doesn't really fit in the other content. So thank you all for the long stream today. I mean, this is just where they live now. I appreciate you. I will talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being Law Nerds. Do the YouTubey things, and I'll see you on Thursday at 11 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Bye. Connect with me everywhere. I'm at the Emily D. Baker. If you guys want to join the text, just text Emily.com. If you want to join the channel, lawnerdsunite.com. Happy to have you. Support what we do here on the YouTube.